Live from the VVR studios at downtown Boston, it's showtime. Welcome to Violent Vinyl Radio. I'm your host, Des, and as always, I'm joined by my two co-hosts. First up, the podcaster, holding all the aces, Dangerous Dave.
I'm back on the streets, baby. Hello, everybody.
And last but not least, the podcaster who likes the dark side of the beat, Lisa.
Hi, guys.
All right, all you degenerate 80s kids out there, smash your little heads against the speaker and get ready for the show. As always, the mission of this show is for us to introduce each other and you, the listeners, to albums and bands which you may never have heard before, while also discussing the classics. So sit back and enjoy the show. Dave, where can they find this fine podcast?
We are available on most podcast outlets. Also, check us out on YouTube. Please give us a listen and tell a friend. You can like, subscribe, and share. That'll help out the show. And you can find us on our social medias, Instagram at VVR Podcast Insta, and on Facebook at Violent Vinyl Podcast. Now, come on and printify me, baby.
That's right. Get over to the merch store, people. Since we do not do a Patreon, but it does cost a fortune to do this show, especially with our new producer. Yes, we have a new producer.
Woo!
My lovely wife, Delynn, has decided to take over production duties on this show. So today, you're going to hear a much more complete product, as we are going to be adding short clips to each song before we break them down. So hang on to your diapers, babies, because it's coming. All right, that was weird. So go over to the merch store, vvr.printify.me. Get your coffee mug and get your new design VVR t-shirt. I am wearing mine today, and Lisa's wearing hers today, but Dave was too cool for school.
Yeah.
No, I'm wearing mine today. You just can't see it on the camera.
He's wearing it under his Iron Maiden shirt. Okay.
I said we should both wear them to the festival. We went to a music festival yesterday, and he was like, "We're not going to do twinsies."
Yeah,
We can't be matchy out in public.
In Dave's defense, that would have been mental. Okay. Okay.
We're not the Red Sox. Come on.
That would have been a little weird. Okay, let's head over to the mailbag. So our wonderful listener Radio wrote in to expand on his Mick Mars pick as a Skid Row replacement. He writes, reimagine 1994's Mick Mars playing and riffing on Skid Row's punk creep titled Slave to the Grind. Man, Bach and Mars together doing some monkey business? I'm all in. Lisa?
I like that idea. I said I liked it before. I like it even better now. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that does sound cool.
Yeah, it really does.
It does sound good. I don't know. When I heard it the first time, I think I was kind of like, yeah, but no, I like it. I'm there.
Yeah, I'm not ready to get rid of one of the guitarists, though, so they would have to have three guitarists for the time.
Man.
So.
Wow. Guitar overload.
Yeah.
Woo!
Hey, there's nothing wrong with that. No one's done it, right? No one's had three guitarists. Let's try it out.
There's a reason nobody's done it. It's a bad idea.
Iron Maiden, Skinnerd.
I don't know. I think on that Twisted Sister album could have used a third guitar.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, somebody also mentioned on one of the YouTube things about that. He was like, hey, I like that Twisted Sister album. So there you go. We also got a nice message from Henning, Germany, right?
Germany,
Lisa?
I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
He actually has
Gesundheit.
So this message actually started off as he was saying that he'd really like to order the new design shirt and mug, but the shipping fees out to Germany are just ridiculous. So he's just not going to be able to do it, which I totally get. I mean, I think they want like his firstborn child and like $500 to get a coffee mug out there. So
well, there's right now some problems with shipping into and out of the U.S. to, I think, about 17 countries, and Germany is one of them.
Yeah.
So maybe when that comes back down, we'll figure out a way to get you a shirt and a mug. So
Henning is an original listener. He's been on since episode 1, and this is what he wrote. And I thought I put this in today, Lisa, just to give you an idea of like what some of the OGs are thinking, because I know maybe we lost one or two, but I know we gained about fucking 200. So it was worth it. So we got a nice message from Henning. He wrote, been listening since episode 1 in 2023. It's great to have Lisa as a knowledgeable and articulate female co-host who loves the music and bands on board for another perspective and input. And he also said that Des and Dave are great as well. So
these other two fools.
Yes. So Dave, join me in the back
so
seat.
nice.
Join me in the back seat as Lisa drives us to fame and fortune. There you go.
Thank you, Henning. That's amazing.
I also believe Kim dropped us another very sweet comment, basically showing her love and support for the show. So
we love Kim.
Yeah, we appreciate you, and it goes right back at you. Lisa, did you hear anything from anyone?
I did. So I got a comment from David Bax on the Twisted Sister episode. He lives in Japan. He's a musician.
So cool.
And he told me that before he moved to Japan, his band did a cover of Burn in Hell as a country song.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. And he said it worked really well. And I had to confirm with him. I was like, you did that old school country style, right? Not like this new country pop garbage. And he was like, of course, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. So he happens to be a very prolific musician. He does like, there's music in everything that we do, right? So he does music for TV and commercials and media and stuff, and kind of builds libraries where TV shows and movies can pull from his library for like ambiance background music.
Yeah,
so he does that. So another fun thing that the episode actually sparked in his brain was that he programmed the guitar patterns for I Wanna Rock on the Guitar Heroes 80s game. That was a job that he did.
Wow.
Yeah. So he had access to the stems. So he could hear everything in detail. And when this was a little bit back in time now, he remembers that the guitar parts were sloppy, but he doesn't want to criticize, because when he thinks of his own guitar playing, he doesn't like to compare himself or talk down on anyone. But I think he could easily put the Twisted Sister guys down. So he's released quite a bit of work on his own, not just the TV and movie stuff. His work is a lot in like shoegaze, kind of like my kind of style of music, gothy stuff. And he'll be releasing something in the next few months. So maybe we can talk about him again when he's ready.
Yeah, maybe if he's got. Go ahead, Dave.
Oh, sorry. Did he let us know is there someplace we can hear that country version of?
No. So that was just like something they did offhand in a club. He doesn't even think anyone recorded it. This would have been a while back.
Okay,
so I asked him, I was like, do you have video of that? Because that would be amazing. And he's like, I don't think anyone videoed it back in the day. So, yeah. We also heard from Jason Summerfield, who was really surprised by how we rated D, and actually shamed us for it. He said,
shamed you guys.
Did.
I rated D high.
Well, he said D was an iconic leader of metal, which I agree with. And he mentioned his monster stage presence. I also agree with that. He recommended watching the live performances. Now, we've heard this from not just Jason, but lots of different people, including some musicians that worked with the band and around the band at the time, that Twisted Sister really were a live act. And the stuff they put in the studio was maybe not so great. And maybe the producers kind of did them dirty, like we discussed last time. And, live, they were a lot better.
Tamed them down.
Yeah. Yeah. We also heard from Joe, who said that he still loves this album to this day, about the Twisted Sister album. So people are still listening.
That's right.
I think they're all confused. Yeah, I actually got a text message like on a Saturday morning from Jane, like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with you? Yeah, tell that guy to send in a clip of his new tune, and we'll throw it in in the mailbag or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Now that we got a good producer, we can do stuff like that.
That'd be great.
Yeah, I want to elaborate too on this whole thing. Like, he doesn't want to talk down on anybody, but so I just want people to understand, that's what my job is. Like, I know I shit on everybody, right? But how fun would this show be if you tuned every week and I was like, yeah, he's really good. And it's like, that's not fun. That's not fun. It's my job to shit on shit. And that's it. If I see it like shit and it smells, I'm going to call it a pile of crap.
And to be fair, when your job is to review things, you're not going to like everything. There was a controversy back in the day, I think, with Siskel and Ebert when they were reviewing movies and just using what was basically their opinions. But there are professional reviewers, right? That's your job to like look into things. So.
Correct. Yeah. And I'm not a professional reviewer, and I'm really not fucking qualified to review anybody that's a musician, really. But I chose to do it, and you chose to fucking tune in and listen to it. So fucking deal with it. Okay, there you go. Tonight, we will be discussing 6s, 7s, and 9s, the second studio album by the great Junkyard, produced by Ed Statham. Released on May 28, 1991 on Geffen Records. The album failed to appear on the U.S. Billboard 200, which really cuts me deeply.
That's a criminal offense.
It cuts me deeply.
Yeah.
Oh, God, you won't hear any criticism from me on this episode. Spoiler alert. The band's lineup was as follows. The great late David Roach on lead vocals, Chris Gates on guitar, Clay Anthony on bass, Patrick Mozingo on drums, and Brian Baker on guitar. So there you go. Late addition to the band, Brian Baker. I mean, was there for all the albums, but was, he came in just under the wire. I'm sure Lisa will tell us about it. Speaking of Lisa telling us about it, you guys ready to do some band facts?
Sure are.
Is that where we're at?
Yeah, that's where we're at.
Yes.
Des,
Dude,
you're on it today.
I stuck
Boom.
the landing like Mary Lou Retton.
That's an old reference. You've got to modernize that too.
Simone
Biles. Yeah.
That was
There
pretty
you
good.
go.
All right, there you go. Dave, talk about it.
All right. We covered Junkyard's 1989 debut album 2 years ago on June 24th, 2023, way back in episode 7 of the Breaking Vinyl Days, available on the same feed you get the show now, with special guest drummer Patrick Mozingo. Please check it out. It was a good show.
Do you remember what your scores were?
I don't.
I need to know.
I do. So, okay. So Des rated the album a very fair 96.7.
Oh, perfect.
Ed rated the album, I would consider it unfair, although his scores were kind of shifted lower generally. Rated the album a 68.54. And Dave rated the album an 82. And you gave Pat a chance to rate the album, even though you didn't count it in the final score as a joke. And he, tongue-in-cheek, rated it 34 for the 34th anniversary of the album that was happening at the time that you recorded,
Nice.
for a total score of 82.41. And at the time, there was only 7 episodes. This was episode 7 that put Junkyard at the number 2 spot. It actually knocked Prince's Purple Rain down to number 3, leaving Van Halen at number 1.
I'll never forget that episode. It was like, what did you say? It was our 6th episode or something?
7th. Yeah, it was number 7.
Episode. I was so nervous because obviously Junkyard is one of my favorite bands of all times. I was shitting my pants, and Dave was like recording from like a log cabin in like fucking Antarctica.
Yeah, the
And
sound was weird.
Yeah, well, we lost Dave. Dave and Patrick couldn't hear each other.
Yeah.
So I was having to relay Dave to Pat, and then Pat back to Dave because they couldn't hear each other.
Yeah, we had technical difficulties.
And then Patrick was like recording from like a bunker 2 miles underground and had the worst fucking reception. And then I literally went to a barbecue that night and spent like 15 hours editing it. So when you listen to that show, it actually sounds like Dave is talking to Patrick, but they're not.
Yeah.
So there you go. Very interesting though.
Dave had the pick on that week. Do you know what you picked for your next album?
Oh, geez, I don't know.
You picked
What was
Depeche Mode, Memento Mori 2023, which you guys never ended up doing.
Yeah.
Because you replaced it with Violator from
that was
1990. Yeah. Which was a great episode because Dylan came in and saved the day for all the goth people.
Thank you.
She did. Awesome. All right, Dave.
All right. So Junkyard was formed in 1987 in Los Angeles, and they were part of the Cat House scene, along with Guns N' Roses, Faster Pussycat, Jet Boy, and LA Guns. Original bassist Clay Anthony, according to Wikipedia, left the band shortly before the release of this second album amid drug problems, to be replaced by Todd Muscat, brother of Faster Pussycat guitarist Brent Muscat. According to a bravewords.com article from December 19th, 2020, Clay perished in a car crash in Hawaii, tragically. The tribute written by singer David Roach said he had cleaned up his act and, quote, "He was our friend and I'll miss him. Good luck on your journey, brother. It's a long way home."
Oh,
That was very nice.
yeah.
Speaking of David, we'll talk about this a little more. We unfortunately just also lost him this year on August 1st from cancer. His Instagram feed was filled with positive messages from all his fans and musician peers. A lot of cool people I saw right in the top of the comments. I saw Tammy and I saw I think Ace Von Johnson.
Ace, of course,
was
yeah.
chiming in with their well wishes for David. Let's get into this second album of theirs. The front and back covers are photos from a casino to go along with the title. CD art is designed like a casino chip. Very cool. According to Wikipedia, the band supported the album with a UK tour that was followed by a North American tour opening for Lynyrd Skynyrd.
Oh, yes.
So, yeah. Where does the title come from? 6s, 7s, and 9s. There are the lyrics of the Rolling Stones' Tumblin' Dice. Honey, got no money. I'm all 6s, 7s, and 9s.
So good.
Maybe it's from there. Internet sleuths have offered the explanation that the old British expression to be at 6s and 7s is a confused, disorganized, or disorderly state, but no definitive word where the 9 fits in. Something about gambling and casinos and how much the Rolling Stones rule, I guess. Next time we talk to somebody in the band, we'll have to ask them. Additional musicians credited on the album are Kevin Savigar Savagar, I don't know, Savigar, on piano and Hammond organ.
Is that
So
the
good.
GIF versus GIF?
So good. He's so good.
GIF
It's
versus
GIF for sure.
It's GIF for sure.
He's on piano and Hammond organ. Looks like he was a longtime member of Rod Stewart's band, as well as working with LA Guns, Lita Ford, Bang Tango, Faster Pussycat, and many more. His credit sheet is at least a mile long. Background vocals on several of the songs, that's All the Time in the World, Slipping Away, and Misery Loves Company, are credited to Pinky Green Stamps and Super Superius. That sounds like some guys who are in Guar, but definitely fake names. And I'm wondering who those people were for real.
Maybe they can raise their hands and let us know who they were.
Yeah, I don't know. On the heavyharmonies.com message board page for this album, user Doghouse Riley comments, "Interesting trivia coming from an interview I did years ago with drummer Pat Muzingo. According to him, this album came out the last week before SoundScan was implemented." We've talked about SoundScan before. Electronic tracking of album sales in record stores versus the old, paper and pen method. The last week when sales figures were still dependent on the individual record stores reporting them accurately. He said this album sold 107,000 copies its first week, but due to notoriously shoddy and or downright dishonest reporting on the part of the stores, those numbers were never registered. Obviously, 107,000 copies in the first week would have been a very good number for a band who, let's face it, weren't really all that popular. End quote. I would have used the words underground band instead of insulting Junkyard, but those were his words.
Okay.
So yeah, some controversy there that this album may have sold more than anybody actually knows. Producer Ed Stasium is a really big name. He's a Jersey guy, most famously known for producing records by the Ramones. Nice. He's also worked with Sha Na Na, the Plasmatics, Motorhead, and the Reverend Horton Heat. He's got a big resume, and he is still working as of 2024. Just last year, he was doing some production for the Chesterfield Kings.
Sha-na-na, Bowser.
Yeah.
Bo.
I used to love Sha Na Na when I was
so
a
did I.
kid.
So
I
did
did
I.
too, and I don't remember it, but my parents claim I did. So
Bowser. He was my favorite.
And then he went on to be a game show host.
Yeah.
Did he?
You watch a game
He
show.
did.
Yeah, you watch the Game Show Network. He posted Hollywood Squares and
No shit.
but
Yeah.
he was under his real name, not Bowser, and
Yeah.
he didn't have his hair greased back, and
Pack of
he was
butts rolled up in his sleeve.
He should have
Yeah,
kept
no.
the pompadour so we all knew.
he
who
was wearing
was.
tweed jacket like he was a college professor, and
That's awesome.
on release of this album, according to Wiki, the Capital Times opined, that their music sounds like a bad mix of Molly Hatchet and Poison.
Ugh.
But
Boo.
the Capital Times was a newspaper from Madison, Wisconsin. So, what the hell do they know? In a 2020, sorry for the noise. In a 2023 article from loudersound.com written by Ian Winwood, they interviewed guitarist Brian Baker, who had this to say, quote, "And we only started to fuck that up after our first record, Junkyard from 1989, didn't quite go. It got there, but it didn't quite bloom. And by then we had different A&R people who were looking at us and going, well, how do we improve this product and make it more marketable? And like in every case, we became shittier." So the second record, 6s, 7s, and 9s from 1991, wasn't as good as the first record because it wasn't as natural. I hate the word organic, but you know what I mean. End quote.
I hate hearing them call music product. I know that it is, but I hate the thought process that goes behind that, and I think that fucked up glam a lot.
Yeah,
So.
that's.
I agree.
You're making hamburgers.
Yeah, terrible.
Yeah, I didn't see a huge drop off between these two albums. I mean, I'm gonna ruin it right now. My score is literally like 1 point less for this one. Like it's very, very close.
All right, Junkyard's YouTube channel features a video titled Junkyard 6s, 7s, and 9s record release party from MTV Headbangers Ball, in which host Ricky Rackman reveals that his first time hosting Headbangers Ball, he interviewed Junkyard. He lamented not being invited to this album release party, but the band offered the title explanation that many of the songs were rated 6, a few 7s, and a few 9s, but no
Oh.
clunkers.
Cute.
So there's another theory for the title. The band was dropped by Geffen Records in 1992 with a third album that was recorded but not released, and they disbanded shortly afterwards. The band would release that album on their own in 1998. That's all my facts.
Speaking of Bang Tango, you were talking about Bang Tango. Jay has insisted that we break down that Bang Tango album. Now,
Oh,
remembered.
You're gonna hate me, Des.
Well, I remembered loving this album back in the day. I went back and listened to it because I was going to choose it. Like I told him this, I was going to choose it like maybe 10 shows ago. And I listened to it and I was like, man, the singer, it just didn't age well. It sounded like a cat, like in a bag being thrown into a river. It was just too high and screechy. And he goes, so you're telling me that guy from fucking Back Alley Sally was awesome, but the dude from Bang Tango can't sing. He's like, fuck you. So I told him that I would definitely bring that Bang Tango album to the show ASAP, unless Lisa's bringing it to the show today.
We're gonna see.
Okay, Lisa,
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Lisa, talk about it.
Okay, so Junkyard, not to be confused with Junkyard Band from Washington, D.C. David shared in an interview that they had to pay Junkyard Band from Washington, D.C. about $10,000 in order to continue using the name. So, we've learned that a lot of bands have, copied names. I won't say copied names, but similar names, same names all over the world.
Inadvertently. I mean,
Yeah.
there's only so many band names out there.
Right. So,
Or not inadvertently.
yeah, I mean, whatever it is, but it's a really common thing that happens. And it's
Sure.
funny that it's very rarely that the original first named band is ever the good one. I'm just going to
Right.
say that. So, so Junkyard opened for a very, very important band that had a big following at the time in 1987, Jane's Addiction. And every label in town, this is a quote from David, every label in town was trying to sign them. Geffen and Elektra both approached Junkyard at the show because now there were a lot of record labels and producers at the show trying to get Jane's Addiction. So Junkyard was actually approached by both Geffen and Elektra, but they didn't have a press kit or a demo at the time.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Unprepared.
So a week later, Geffen did eventually get in touch with them, and that's how they were offered the deal. But we can thank, I believe, Jane's Addiction's connection to the band for that. So,
Lisa, have you ever seen Junkyard?
absolutely. Oh my God, I worked for them.
Well,
Should I have shared that?
No, I mean, no, I meant back in the day, like in the,
only once. Yeah.
Okay, me too. One time when I was living in California, I saw them.
Yeah.
I want to say they were opening for LA Guns. Who was it? LA Guns. I can't think of the bands, but I think they were on the LA Guns tour. Does that sound right?
They've toured with just about everyone, but we'll talk a little bit about the problems with their tour schedule soon. So
I remember just being blown away, though. It was so different.
Yeah, they were in that weird area of where Guns N' Roses was, maybe a little bit where LA Guns was, where they were not really glam, but they were being grouped in with the true glam bands.
Sure.
So yeah,
they were all buddies.
Yeah, they were all, of course.
But I mean, LA Guns looked like fucking Poison. Look what the cat dragged in compared to fucking Junkyard. I mean, Junkyard was like Skinnerd. Like, they were legit a Southern
LA
rock
Guns
band.
music was a lot rougher than the glam bands were, and then Junkyard was even a step rougher than that. So and plus they had that kind of that Southern rock flavor underneath it too. So
definitely a classic rock feel.
Yeah. So also while Junkyard was touring, they brought along on their quote unquote world tour. It wasn't really a full world tour, but they brought a support act unknown at the time, Black Crowes, giving them their first 6-week national tour. Bob Baker later would say it was fortunate that our audience didn't realize how much better the Black Crowes were than we were until after the tour was over. It wasn't that classic Guns N' Roses blowing Aerosmith off the stage thing. We still held our own, but it was similar.
But it was similar.
Yeah. And as Dave mentioned, they would, of course, go on a pretty major tour with Lynyrd Skynyrd. I know you guys like them. That's not my style of music at all.
It's not really my style either. I'm not.
Yeah,
it's
but
my style.
Would not call myself a Skynyrd fan.
I do think though that that music fits together, Junkyard and Lynyrd Skynyrd, and I think the fan base would have been good there. They also toured with Dangerous Toys, as the singer of Dangerous Toys, Jason McMaster, was high school friends with David Roach.
That was, I think Dangerous Toys was the other band on that LA Guns bill. I think it was LA Guns, Dangerous Toys, Junkyard. I think that was it.
Yeah, well, I found some interesting information. I think I'm going to sprinkle some of this through, but there's a lot of controversy about the times that Junkyard played because there's not a lot of documentation of all the shows that they played. So you can go on some websites, I think like concerttours.org, or there's some sites that list like every venue and everything that anyone has ever played. Junkyard's, for some reason, stuff isn't very well documented. So there's been a lot of fans who've come up to them and been like, I saw you in the UK at this time. And then they'll try to go look their show up that they went to see online, and it won't be in the archives. And he's like, but I've got the ticket stub, so I know that I went to the show. Yeah. So I think a lot of the shows that they played were undocumented. So
makes sense.
So again, we're talking about 1991, which we have talked about recently, especially when we did Skid Row Slave to the Grind, which was the same name. This was a year of change. Nirvana's Nevermind came out just a couple months after this album, 6 of 7 of 9, and pretty much changed the landscape of music forever. At the time this album came out, it hadn't happened yet. Seattle hadn't taken over yet, but we were kind of on the brink of that, fall over the unease. Everyone was like looking for something new. We had some bands holding on to the, the glam flag. We had some bands trying to make some kind of a transition into, pure metal or something else. And then we had some bands like when we talked about Rob Zombie coming in and trying to merge the old style with what was going to be the new style and bringing in a lot more electronic. So it was kind of an unbalanced time. The bands also were tired at the time. They were overworked. They were underpaid. They were falling apart. They were fighting with each other. So there was a lot of controversy there.
In rehab.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff going on then. On the charts, we had Mariah Carey, Vanilla Ice, Garth Brooks, and Michael Jackson. There were strong showings that year, though, from Metallica, Van Halen, Guns N' Roses was on, I think, Use Your Illusion 1 and 2. The charts always meant so little to rock artists, though, I would say, because, pop kind of ruled everything. So rock fans didn't care what the charts said then, probably, or now. But as Dave shared, the band was dropped by Geffen in 1992. Pat talks about the breakup of the band being really sad, but without controversy, on a recent podcast that I'll talk a little more about later. He said at one point the band had this space they practice in, and they had all their gear, and that the label had paid for this place so they could go and, write their songs and get ready for their next album. The label just stopped paying for it. So the venue didn't tell them, just stop paying for it. So the venue contacted them and were like, you need to get your gear out of here because it's not your room anymore. And that's how they found out that they were being dropped, basically.
That's
so
how it happens.
They all went to the room and like sat around the pool table, and they were like, okay, well, we obviously aren't going anywhere. So I guess, we need to figure things out and kind of go our own ways. And that's sort of how it happened. So
it's funny. When I was playing in that band, the Gutter Dolls, that's how it happened. We were all living in this huge house in Florida. Sean was in at the time, and and the management company was out of New York.
Yeah.
And we had just got a phone call, and it was from the management company. They just said, you guys got like fucking 12 days to get out of that house. You're done. So we all went and stayed with some chicks we met and stuff. And that was it.
Wow. That's just rotten. Oh my God. Okay. So, Junkyard's last show was on February 10th of 2024 at the San Jose, California Mamakin Club. This was not intended to be their last show, of course. After this show, this was a horrible controversy within our group of friends, of course. I suppose I should mention that I have personal connection to the band, have worked merch for them, so forth and so on. So within our little circle, this date was horrible. It's burned into my mind what happened. But the band actually sent David home to get healthy and to get off the booze because it had gone off the rails at that point. So while he was working on getting himself cleaned up, of course, the cancer diagnosis came and derailed all of that progress. So the band has a website still. It's called junkyardblues.com. Now, blues is BLOOZE, so junkyardblues.com, where you can buy merch, see lots of great photos.
I checked that the other day and it was not active.
Oh, I just saw it like 3 days ago.
I don't know. I went and let's look right now.
Look right now. Yeah, well, I'll finish this up because when I looked at it a few days ago, they were selling merch and the funds were going to support David's wife, T-shirt proceeds and things like that.
Lisa, when you talk about, them having to send him home for the alcohol and stuff, it just really just cements what I know is that these albums are memoirs from David's life. Completely. And that's why these albums cut me so deeply and they move me so much. And the lyrics just really strike a chord with me,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It looks like their website is back up. But it
it's
didn't come up
there
for me when I was doing my research the other day. So that's nice to know. It's still there.
You can still go there, get your merch.
I was kind of bummed out that I thought they took down their website.
Yeah. So that is still there and you can go and get your merch there to support his family while this is happening. But definitely. And I remember at the time, we were so excited because we had some shows where we were going to do merch that were coming up later in 2024. And we were all getting ready for that. And yay, they're coming back. And we were just heartbroken, to hear what had happened. And so I'm not going to share the insider information on that, but just we were also heartbroken that, he's gone through so many ups and downs over his life that we were all like so rooting for him. We were like, yes, this is happening. And everything kind of collapsed all in one day. But, we were all still behind him and hoping for the best. And then this, fuck cancer, man, fuck cancer.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Okay, let's go into the guys. I'm actually going to do David last. So let's step right into Chris Gates on guitar. In 1977, he was a founding member of the pioneering band Big Boys. He basically was one of the, I'll call him the creators of the punk funk template that was equally pillaged and praised by everyone from the Red Hot Chili Peppers to Henry Rollins. The band was credited with creating the skate punk genre and are considered an influence to almost every punk band that would follow. He played bass in this band, not guitar. The band included Randy J. Biscuit Turner on vocals, who is an actor and musician who unfortunately passed in 2005, and Tim Kerr, who is a songwriter and musician and visual artist and photographer. He was a producer who worked on just about every indie label you can name, including Sub Pop remember 1991 controversial year for Sub Pop. He was he was involved in this Big Boys band. So this guy was just a powerhouse in art and music and photography and everything else. The band had a slew of drummers, a huge amount, including Reynolds Washam, who played in tons of other bands like the Butthole Surfers and Ministry, and Scratch Acid, who was a pioneering hardcore noise rock band that is absolutely fantastic.
Lisa, I just wanted to say about Chris, because you'll remember before Junkyard came out, we never saw an overweight guy in one of these bands.
No,
It wasn't
yeah.
allowed. It wasn't allowed, right? He was so fucking cool. I remember seeing the video for the first time and being like, what's this? Like, these guys aren't wearing tights and makeup and hairspray. I'm like, these are real dudes.
Real
and,
dudes.
Yeah, and he's got the fucking, the tattoos. He's got the beard, the glasses, the motorcycle boots. Like, these are genuine dudes. And I think it's important to just point that out, that this guy made it okay to just be a regular dude in a band. And fuck, it worked for me.
Yeah, it
He's
was
a great
really
player.
great.
And he's a great player.
And let me be clear, all the girls will go screaming crazy over like Sebastian Bach, but I'm going to tell you what, there is way more of my friend group that preferred a man like that to a little skinny heroin junkie style guy.
Sure.
I'm serious. So yeah.
We'll get to it.
Yeah. So he also played in the popular band Poison 13, which was a garage punk band. Highly recommend going out and checking those guys out. This was all before Junkyard. By 1985, he joined Junkyard. And by 92, Junkyard had kind of fallen apart. So another band with a very short arc. We talked about Twisted Sister last year, which the band had been around longer, but their arc was 4 or 5 years, which seems to be the arc of a lot of these guys. So in 95, Chris returned to Texas. He released 2 CDs as half of a trip hop duo called 99 Pounds. Trip hop, imagine, that's a really strange crossover there.
Yeah.
And 1 solo record of completely electronic music under the name King Inc. And that's one word, King Inc. In 1996, he formed the band Chore Boy with members of the Skatenings, Ministry, and the Butthole Surfers, among other guys. They released the album Good Clean Fun in 96 and toured Europe in 97. In 2001, Junkyard reformed and began playing again. Wiki says that Chris left Junkyard for good in 2009, but other sources say that he remains in the band for much longer, including a 2022 article stating he was still in the band. However, the last few times I saw them, he was not playing. So
Jimmy James filling in on guitar.
Yeah,
Lisa, they really didn't have a window, right? Like during the heyday of hair metal, they wouldn't have been in vogue. And then Guns N' Roses kind of came at the very, very end and saved it for a minute where they were in vogue, but it was just too late. And GNR was sucking all that air out of their room with, you know, Appetite for Destruction, but they were all wearing Junkyard shirts. All the big singers were wearing them.
They were. And if back in the day and around the Strip, they were saying they didn't play on the Strip, they played off the Strip, but everybody went to see Junkyard, including the bands that were playing on the Strip.
and they had some ballads like Simple Man and Slipping Away that for me were big enough to put them like solidly on the map as like one of the big hitters, but they just never had that window of opportunity.
Yeah. I don't like it either when people call them an underground band, because everybody I knew loved them. I don't know why they didn't blow up, because I haven't really met anyone that's like, oh, I hate them. Never.
Because they never got their chance. The radio just wasn't playing music like that anymore when they got there. If it wasn't Guns N' Roses, you weren't getting played if you were that kind of music.
Yeah.
And I was talking to a guy at work that I know, Bill, shout out Bill, I know he listens to the show. And I was listening to this album. He's like, what are you listening to? And I'm like, Junkyard, 6s, 7s, and 9s. He's like, I've heard them, but I don't even think I've ever heard their music. And I played him Slipping Away, and he's like, I'm getting that one immediately.
Yeah.
So, yeah, people have heard of them, but I don't think a lot of people have heard them.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And the funny thing is that they never changed their sound. So even going forward, even after this glam, they were still exactly who they were, whether it was, 1989 or whether it was, 2022, they were still the same music, the same style, the same guys playing the same rock and roll.
Because it was fucking great. Why would you change it?
Yeah.
Yeah, they weren't going to follow trends. Like
they
some
didn't
other
follow
bands.
trends. They weren't trying to change. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with an artist growing, but they knew who they were already, So I don't know. It's great. So in 2003, he started the band Charter Bulldogs in response to the sad state of music. This is a quote from him.
This is still Chris Gates.
This is still Chris Gates. Yeah, sorry. Going back to Chris Gates. They released 6 studio albums and play rock and roll with a little bit of a Southern style. They self-describe as, and this is a quote from the band, wild-eyed white boys from the South who've discovered that without drugs, there's more time for the sex and rock and roll.
Nice.
They would release 2 studio albums. Unfortunately, their website seems to be disabled. In 2004, he would then form the band Chris Gates and Gatesville, an American Southern rock band who would release 2 studio albums. Southern rock's not really my style, but from what I understand, this project is very well respected in that genre. So check that out if you like Southern rock. He also has The Resurrectionist from 2015 to the present. This project would see Chris writing a ton of songs, well over a dozen or 2 dozen, but he's still looking for a band to actually put together and play the music that he's written. So it's kind of like he wrote the band, he wrote the music, he wrote all the pieces, he played kind of all the parts, to demo it all, but he doesn't have a band to bring it together.
I think that I could front that band.
There you go.
Lot of tattoos.
Give him a call.
I think I could front that band for him.
Yeah. And he also had Liars Club, which started in 2022, which is a punk rock cover band with some of the members of Fastball. And I would love to see him play punk rock covers. He says, I hit a wall in the late 90s. Living the sex, drugs, and rock and roll lifestyle was great for a while, but by the time I got into my mid-30s, it was literally killing me. I sobered up in 98 and have been working on building a healthier life ever since. Several years ago, I started getting serious about getting in better shape, and I've continued to work on that ever since. Like John Mellencamp says, this getting older ain't for cowards. I think we all agree with that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
In addition to this, he's done scoring work on several small independent films, including scoring and composing original music for Leveland in 2003. He continues to live and play in the Austin area. Okay, Clay Anthony, who played bass. Clay, as Dave mentioned, was lost in a car crash in Hawaii at the end of 2020. He was in the band from the classic lineup until 1991, when he quit, reportedly due to struggling with his demons, which I assume means some addiction issues, although there isn't a lot of public information about this. We have heard many of the other band members comment on Clay's struggles with alcohol and drugs. So When he arrived in Hollywood in '86, he was adamant not to emulate the bands like Poison. When I moved to LA in 1986, all the Hollywood bands looked and sounded like Warrant, says Junkyard guitarist Chris Gates. At the time, I'm sorry, we're on Clay Anthony. At the time, all the labels were looking for the next Whitesnake, not the next Guns N' Roses. So he shares that when Guns N' Roses hit, a lot of those hyper glam bands started to come to their shows, which we were just talking about. And Axl, there's a very famous photo of Axl wearing the Junkyard shirt with the 3 Junkyard lines on it. He thought they were trying to figure out how to do street rock and get away from the glam label. So like, the guys from Poison and Warrant were trying to find a way to become more like Guns N' Roses. So they would come and watch Junkyard and try to figure it out. Not very many of them figured it out. Let's just make that statement.
Yeah, none of them.
Yeah. He claims that their association with Guns N' Roses through them coming to the shows and the t-shirts and the style of music didn't hurt them at all. In fact, the band was Guns N' Roses was very good to them, even beyond buying their t-shirts in supporting their work. It was only when Nirvana would join Geffen that things would go south. While Clay's discography only lists his contributions to those early Junkyard albums and compilations, word is that he's played in many bands, but information was difficult to find. In fact, this is so funny, we can talk about this for a minute. I asked AI what bands Clay had played in, and AI claims that he was involved in LA Guns, the Black Halos, and the Dwarves, but none of these bands claim him as a past member. Additionally, AI says he's still performing today. So this is why I spend a lot of time teaching about being careful with the inaccuracies of AI. So come to my TED Talk on that.
Oh, Lisa, I was just talking to my wife about how these human trafficking rings are using AI to befriend children in chat rooms and learn what they're all about and make them seem like they're their best friends. And next thing you know, they're being picked up by a black van and sold on the black market. So Don't trust AI. Don't trust AI.
Yeah. And, as a software developer, I build these tools. I use these tools all the time, but I'm always warning everyone, if you don't, there's not balance between, the AI has no morals and no ethics, right? So if you don't balance it with understanding and ethics, you're going to get what you put into it, So.
At least some fucking AI. Let's not move on from AI quite yet. So AI, how dangerous is this? I mean, it is smarter than humans, and it's getting a lot of control to where we can't check and balance what it could do without our authority.
Well, I mean, software can only be as smart as the people who program it, right? However, the problem seems to be that it preys on people who lack critical thinking skills. And since since the internet has come around, so remember, we grew up without internet. We had to learn critical thinking skills and analysis and learning and understanding between fact and fiction. There's a generation behind us who didn't learn those skills.
Right.
And not being able to decide what is fact and what is fiction is the reason that AI could destroy us, because people aren't smart enough to understand what truth is.
I mean, Lisa, even knowing that, it's so hard to watch something on YouTube or watch a clip and know if what I'm seeing is real. Like, if somebody had a legit fucking video of a fucking UFO, how would I know it was real or not just computer generated? I mean, did you see
that's
Tron?
Purposeful. Yeah.
Okay. That fucking computer was ready to take over the world.
Yeah. And I think even a lot of people don't really understand that there are companies and even individual people that are pumping out AI videos into YouTube with just a slew of random information. Some of it is real and some of it is fake. And if anything major happens in the world right now, it is so easy for governments to twist that now. And, is it real? Is it not real? They're going to twist it in their favor. Oh, that's AI. Oh, that's not AI. And it's a dangerous world.
And that brings us into Operation Bluebeam.
Yeah.
Welcome to VVR.
Tangents.
Welcome to VVR After Dark. You just got another taste for free. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. So David commented about Clay. After a couple months of making noise on the scene, skateboard legend Tony Alva quit the band, and deciding we were destined to be a bar band. Nonetheless, we carried on. I walked into a rehearsal, and Clay is sitting there with his old black lab Zeke, chain smoking. Clay knew all the songs and didn't dress funny, and we generally didn't bother about much else concerning auditions, so he was in.
I bet that poor dog had emphysema.
Right? Yeah. Yeah. In those days, there were a lot of posers. There were leagues of guys trying to be Keith Richards or Sid Vicious or Johnny Thunders or Dee Dee Ramone, or just trying to be hard or street. Guns N' Roses got signed, and we were one of those bands that became like a quasi movement of sleaze rock. Now, to be certain, we definitely were more street than most of the Sunset Strip set, but Clay, he was for real. He gave us real street cred. A lot of people talk about what they do in some situations or another, and they're full of shit. And I'm among them, but Clay was real, always ready to throw down and to defend. After his passing, the family set up a GoFundMe to help with the costs of transporting his remains from Hawaii to his home in California, and to support his young child who he left behind. So, yeah. Okay, on to Patrick Mazingo, of course, friend to the show. And Patrick did participate in the previous episode. That was episode 7. So I definitely recommend going back and taking a look at that. He was a lot of fun. I remember you guys doing that. So
Patrick was great.
Yeah, fantastic. So Pat's from California and started playing at the age of 12. He was trained in jazz style, and his brother was a composer on soundtracks like Last of the Mohicans and Disney. He had another passion at the time, and that was pool skating. So basically, in the early days of extreme skateboarding, where people would skateboard in backyard pools that were empty, and like do the tricks like we see professionally done today in like built arenas.
In Encino, California, in the pools.
Yeah. But there came a time in 1983 where he had to pick one or the other. So he had to pick either drums or skateboarding and focus on it full time. So he picked drums, and I think we all benefited from that.
I think so.
Thank you for that, Pat.
Yep.
If I try to list all the bands that Pat has been a part of, we would be here all day. So let's just do some of the highlights. He was playing for an extremely popular band called Decry from 83 to 86. Decry was a huge deal back then. They were the main band, and all the bands opened up for them, like Guns N' Roses and LA Guns. As a fun side note, in 1990, the original Decry bassist, Todd Mesquite, who you mentioned, joined Mazingo as the bassist for Junkyard. That's Brent Muscat's brother from Faster Pussycat. Until 86, he was in San Francisco playing with a band called Pirates of Venus. But in his own words, the San Francisco sound was not paying the bills. And I understand a lot of the San Francisco bands were not doing very well at the time. So he moved back to LA within 2 hours, and within 2 hours of his arrival to LA, he was called by Chris Gates, who had formed Junkyard 6 months before. He had known Chris from a previous tour when Chris was playing on the same tour with the band Pat was at the time, Decry, and from then to this day, he remains a member of Junkyard. So right from that moment. Let's see. So after the breakup of the band, he became a bartender for a while, which he talks a lot about in some of the podcasts about how cool it was to be a bartender and just, he made money and he really enjoyed it. And over the years, he's been connected with countless other bands during hiatuses of Junkyard and his side projects. So let's name a couple of those. Battery Club with Ricky Rackman. In 93, there was the Rhythm Slaves with Brian Forsyth, the guitarist of Kicks and Rhino Bucket, and Eric Stacy from Faster Pussycat. There was Catfish, which was an offshoot of the Rhythm Slaves with Brian Forsyth, and Adam White of Liars Inc. 92 to 95, he was in Sucker Punch. That band included Tim Mosher, Paul Warden, Mike Dimkich, and Gary Ivan. Fuck you, Gary Ivan, and I hope you're getting your karma. And I hate you all for making me talk about this guy again. You guys need to stop playing with this idiot. and also Patrick. By the way, there are no less than 10 bands named Sucker Punch. Anyway, they toured quite a bit with a lot of bands like Bad Religion and Cheap Trick. Speed Buggy USA. Now here's the genre that they claim to be a part of. This is a cowpunk band. Anyone know what cowpunk is?
I
I do
do.
not.
So-
Oh, you do.
Oh, tell us what it
Tell us,
is.
Dave.
It's like punk rock, but with kind of Southern influence, and you sort of do, Western country
Interesting.
and punk mixed together.
It
That
sounds
is a
horrible.
weird mashup.
And
Yeah.
that's what we're going to mention. Tex and the Horseheads later on.
Okay.
You might consider them a cowpunk band, and also I forget the other ones, but the
That's new for me.
I should
So
probably
this-
hear it before I judge it, but yeah,
Yeah.
it sounds bad.
So he's no longer in this band, but this band is still active and plays tons of shows. He recorded 5 studio albums with this band between playing Junkyard.
Oh, wow.
Something neat I saw on his wiki is that his entire drum set and endorsements are on his wiki. You don't usually see this with most musicians. So if you're a gearhead and you want to know the rigs he was playing for each of the first few albums, they're all broken down on his wiki, which I think is super cool.
Yeah, and if you want to steal his drum sound, go listen to that first podcast because he explains how he got all of his sounds in this
Yeah.
extra special snare sound that you could steal.
Yeah. He's active on social media, especially on Instagram. Just about a week ago, he did an interview on Paris Playbook podcast, where he spoke about seeing David in the hospital for the last time and witnessing his wedding. He said it felt like they were all hanging out backstage at a gig, but instead of a 12-pack of beer, there was a 12-pack of Ensure on the counter. He, of course, shared that this was not a quick passing like the media cycles seemed to show. David had been sick for a long time, and the band had been trying to figure out what to do and how to support him. There were many show cancellations over the years, and news, of course, from promoters and friends got down to all of us over time, but this wasn't a fast process. He shared that David's last wishes were for the band to complete the album that they started recording in 2020 during COVID. They had a hiatus in 2023, which we kind of talked about, when things weren't great for everyone, particularly David. There's a potential coffee table book coming out and a potential show in the Austin area, which is where David was from, as a memorial and to celebrate his life. He's talking about a great show where they would have like punk rock karaoke. So they would have just everybody show up and you would sign up on a sheet and you would just go on stage and jam with all of these punk guys that are going to come to this show. So
Cool.
it sounds like super fun.
It does.
Yeah. In the same interview, Pat shares that within years of Junkyard's classic lineup settling, they had $1 million record deal, which sounds great. But he compared these old record 80s deals to predatory loans, where they give you $1 million, but you end up owing them back $3 million for various fees and other things. They weren't exactly business people back then, so they didn't know how to suss this all out. And for this album in particular, the labels were telling them, you aren't performing like the first album. You've only got 10% of the weekly sales at this time. So instead of promoting them like they did for the first album, they put money into other bands to promote. So what did they expect the album to do with no promotion, right? It was shooting themselves in the foot, basically. Sounded like a pyramid scheme almost to me.
Yeah.
And explains a lot of the things I've seen from bands over the years, that makes me really upset about how these labels treated them and were just predatory assholes about them. He also said that at the time, this was 1991, the labels were putting together boy band style bands. In other words, just picking random guys and like putting them together and slapping some name on them and expecting them to make money. You'll have to go listen to this podcast to hear what he said about Poison. I won't share that here. So he's also sure that grunge didn't kill glam, that the labels watering it all down and creating these fake bands with names like Fuzzy Tiger, while the grunge bands were writing real music with poetry and lyrics, poetic lyrics. Glam was like that. Glam was like that in the early days, he said, with some heart. He's currently a web developer. and has been since 1998, which is a little bit after I started. I started a few years before that. I didn't know this, and I feel stupid for not knowing this, because if I did, I would have talked to him about it.
Right.
but I haven't. So yeah, that's what he's doing now. So switching over to Brian Baker, he started his career at 12, where he performed with Santana.
He started his career at 12. I was
He
picking
played
my
with
nose at 12.
Santana.
Holy shit.
So apparently he had a backstage pass at this concert, and he was running around backstage and found a room full of guitars and picked one up and just started playing it. And, they were like, hey, you want to come up on stage and play with us?
Classic.
And he did.
Unbelievable.
So he grew up listening to AC/DC, the Beatles, and the Rolling Stones. He even commented that he and his punk friends would listen to Van Halen and everything else. Back then, things weren't so separated like they are today. You didn't have to just follow one genre or have one aesthetic. Everybody listened to everything, and that's kind of how it was.
Right.
He's a founding member of the hardcore band Minor Threat. That was back in 1980. This band was only together for 3 years, but was a super influential band in the hardcore scene. The song Straight Edge and the frontman Ian MacKaye reluctantly would become an important anthem for the foundation of the straight edge movement. This was a punk-inspired movement where people who live the life of no drugs, no alcohol, no tobacco, clean living, and that includes no caffeine or prescription drugs, would kind of, come around this flag of the straight edge movement. There's many variations of this movement, including one that sponsors animal rights and vegetarianism. And there's some have a play on words that have named themselves the crooked edge or the curved edge, that are the antithesis of this.
Sounds like a Peyronie's commercial, a group of men with Peyronie's disease.
Yeah. And there's a very, very disturbing hate edge movement called it's basically it's called the hate edge movement. It's a neo-Nazi group that commits murders against drug dealers.
Ooh, that sounds like fun.
So during this time in the band, he would play bass and then switch to rhythm guitar when they invited a fifth member to play bass in his place. That's Minor Threat. He would eventually move back to bass before the band's demise. He's also a founding member of Dag Nasty. And this is where I really get interested, because I really like this band. They were a post-hardcore band, sometimes called like melodic hardcore. Baker would play guitars in this band, doing many stints during the entirety of the band's existence. And the spaces were basically the band's hiatuses, not that he left, up until present day. They recorded 6 studio albums. They haven't done too much in the studio since about 2016. Their website is doghouse.com. Daghouse, not doghouse. Daghouse.com. And it's still up, but nobody seems to have maintained it since about 2022. In 83, he was in the original lineup of Sam Hain with Glenn Danzig, who at the time had just left the Misfits. This would have been heavy metal or blues metal, but of course, at the time, he brought some kind of punk into it. And to be fair, Danzig was still a little punk at the time. He would leave this band after its first year. He did a stint in Doggy Style, a punk band from Orange County. In 1986, the band would split into 2 factions, both keeping the original name. The original singer, Brad Xavier and Lou Gates, and the original drummer brought Baker on with Doug Carrion on bass, but he left pretty quickly when Dag Nasty reformed after one of their hiatuses. However, the relationship with Doug Carrion would continue as he brought Dag Nasty. He brought him into the Dag Nasty formation for the next 2 years. But Doggy Style would go on to record 7 studio albums and a collection album as well. But you've got to follow the timeline on Doggy Style, because there are 2 Doggy Styles at any given time, and they don't do the thing like with when LA Guns split and they had slightly different names, and they don't do that. They're both using the same name, so it gets very confusing in the timeline. From 83 to 85, he was in the Meatmen, a punk band that would eventually record 7 studio albums. Baker would play on their debut 1985 album, War of the Superbikes.
Cool.
He would go to join Junkyard and play with the band in its various timelines all the way up to 2017. After Junkyard, Baker would go on to join Bad Religion. That was in 1994, and he remains with them up until today. They're a punk rock band formed in 1980, so he, joined 14 years into their lineup. And they're known for their thought-provoking lyrics about religion, politics, and society. They're really a powerhouse in the world of punk, kind of like being credited with the punk resurgence in the 90s and kind of making punk more mainstream for bands like Green Day or Offspring or NoFX or Rancid. I'll just say that they were particularly screwed by the 2020 COVID pandemic, having to cancel countless shows, which were supposed to be to support their 40th anniversary tour, basically. It was the first year that the band didn't perform a single show. In May, they released their album Age of Unreason. That's this past May in 2025, which would be their 17th studio album. We could do a whole episode on this band, so I'm just going to stop there and leave it at that.
Cool.
When he joined this band, he was also offered a spot in REM, but he declined, thankfully, because yuck.
Yeah.
Among all of this, he would guest star on a ton of albums, even on Dangerous Toys, and was part of a supergroup called Foxhall Stacks, and another supergroup called Fake Names, releasing albums with each of them. And I believe, take a look at that Fake Names album, because all of the guys in the band use fake names, and that's why it's funny. Yeah. In Guitar World magazine in January of 2022, he's quoted as saying, "I didn't realize I was a professional musician until I'd been one for over 20 years." In Junkyard, I think we got about $1,000 a month for a while there, he said. And it was just for stupidly selling our publishing and merchandising rights. And like we said, they weren't businessmen. They just got totally screwed. They didn't realize what they were signing away, and it's just completely unfair. He said, "Just being drunk and dumb and in your early 20s. I didn't realize I was professional, doing it for a living guy, until I was in Bad Religion for a little while." He doesn't seem to have a website. Don't be fooled by BrianBaker.com, a writer, or Brian with a Y Baker official, who is another guitarist, but is not this guy. Yeah. Okay, so let's step into David Roach, last but not least. Of course, we lost him very, very recently. It was about 4 weeks ago, on August 2nd. He was 59. He died after a long battle with an aggressive form of skin cancer. So for all you sun babies, especially me being a surfer back in the day, go get your skin checked, because this is not just like a joke that you can, have a mole removed or something. This is a serious disease. So get yourself checked.
Yes.
Yeah. He always knew he wanted to be a singer. He grew up singing Elvis and Led Zeppelin. However, he cites one of his favorite bands and inspirations was AC/DC. He started his first band at the age of 14. He says that he started a band because all of his friends were skateboarding, and that's how they got the girls.
Cool.
And he couldn't skateboard, so he had to find a way to get the girls, and this was his try at that.
Perfect.
He moved from the funk punk scene in Austin to East Hollywood, LA, just before Junkyard formed. Roach, after the original run of Junkyard, he formed a band called Borracho with members of Promise and Dogs D'Amour. Not to be confirmed with Borracho, a stoner metal band from Washington who would go on to release 10 albums. There's actually not a lot of information online about Roach's Borracho band, so be careful when you're looking for who that was. Oh, Dave says he has it. He has the album, so it's out there. Yeah, but it's not one of the stoner metal newer band from Washington. I believe the stoner metal band from Washington didn't start until 2007, so that should be an easy way to figure out who it is. It hasn't always been smooth sailing for David, as we sort of have touched on. He had his fair share of struggles with addiction and issues that affected the band's ability to continue at times. There was a time not too long ago when he got himself into a really bad spot, and actually considered selling his signature battle vest to get himself out of the hole he was in. And of course, all of the fans, the people who knew him, all this news kind of trickles down between the people who worked for the band and all that. We all got together. We did a GoFundMe. Everybody shared it. I'm not talking about this as if I organized this. I did not, but I, took part in kind of promoting it and trying to share it with everyone. And we were able to save it, and he was able to keep the vest. And it got him into a better place. So
that's great.
Yeah. So that was a sad moment for me. I couldn't imagine like such an iconic piece of wardrobe just going, who knows where. Like it should be in a museum somewhere. So
should be somewhere on the Strip anyway, like a Hard Rock Cafe.
Yeah,
or something like
somewhere
that.
featured behind glass,
Yes,
not like this. So
No.
yeah. In a 2019 interview with the Rock Pit, and Dave did a lot of press, let's be clear. So we're all thankful that we still have a lot of footage. We can go back and listen to Dave's voice. He was asked about being labeled like a strip band, as in a Sunset Strip band. And he said, oh, that's a misconception. We definitely didn't sound like what was happening in Los Angeles in the 80s. And there's also a misconception that we were a strip band. We never played the Strip. I mean, we played there since we got signed. But when you're trying to get signed, the Strip was strictly a pay-to-play area where these guys would buy the tickets and sell them to their mothers, brothers, and girlfriends, or whoever they could get to go to the show for the right to play at these clubs, right? We didn't go that route. It was bullshit. I'll play for a 12-pack of beer or $5 or something, but I'm not going to pay to play. That's such a black concept that we were never a part of. There's a whole world of cool music in LA at the time that wasn't on the Strip and wasn't anything like what was on the Strip, and that's where we played. In that same interview, he was asked about the songs that were leaked during the band's hiatus. And he says, the person who released it just released the whole thing. There's some stuff that should never have been heard by human ears. Some of those songs were just scratched lyrics that we just recorded to get the sound down, and it didn't matter what the words were. It was just to have something to work off of. And then we were going to go back and do the real album, and we were going to use this, kind of demo-ish recording as a reference. But this guy just put it all out there. Can you imagine being that much of a piece of shit?
No.
Just awful.
Cannot.
And you are always writing music, and you use this format sometimes where you'll lay something down and put some junk lyrics just to mark the points where there will be lyrics while you're filling it all out. You wouldn't want that to be just out there. Like,
no.
Oh,
I mean, even my throwaway lyrics are great, so I'd probably be okay with it. But,
okay, that's fair. That's
Lisa,
fair.
it's funny you're talking about that. Having to pay to play the Strip. The 2 times that I played at the Whiskey, being from Boston, they made us buy what they would consider a good night at the club in case we couldn't bring anybody.
Isn't that awful?
And we would pay it, man. I think we bought like fucking 150 tickets or something the first time. But the first time we played there, we almost sold it out. Then the second time when we went back the following year, they were so impressed with our performance that I don't even think we bought tickets the second time. And we did very well for about one song before,
everything went to hell.
Before you know what happened.
Yeah,
I know what happened. Tossed out onto the Strip with my fucking pants around my ankles.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of bands did it. A lot of bands picked, because everybody wanted to make it back in the day. Yes. That's just what you did. But that also made you a marketer and promoter at that time. And a lot of these bands were not prepared for that. They weren't marketers. They weren't promoters. They were guys playing music, It
was funny, though. We also played the Coconut Teaser, and they never asked us to buy any tickets. So there you go.
There you go. Okay. So he also talked about the state of rock and roll. And I think that this is really interesting because this is going to be one of our After Dark topics. We'll see. Yeah. So he says, I know guitar centers are closing down and they're selling more keyboards. And I think a lot of kids these days go, God, I sound like an old, he says, this is David saying, I sound like an old man saying this, but kids today with their computers and their instant gratification are always wanting to get what they want here and now. They don't have the patience to sit down with a guitar and play it. It takes some fucking work. You sit down with a guitar and you play for an hour and you're not Yngwie Malmsteen. And they think, well, this is boring. And they go on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So some insight from him.
So Lisa, on that, it's funny because the song that I'm writing right now, that I'm trying to get Dave to play guitar on, in a very Southern Leonard Skinner style, which he hates, I want to put I already have put some organ on it. And like you said, of course, there's organ built into my DAW where I can
Sure.
just put it up and just hit keys to play it. But it sounds like shit. And I have like a really nice keyboard down in my storage space that when
Yeah.
I had my 24 track set up before I got into DAW recording, when I did it just old school, I would play all my organs. I would play all my keys
Yeah.
and piano, and it would sound so great. And I've gotten fucking lazy with that. So I'm going to go down and get that keyboard up and stop using the DAW fucking organ and piano.
There
'cause
you
it's
go.
pussy shit.
So also in the same interview, he talked about how thankful he was that the band got a resurgence starting in 2017. And they were able to record and play out again and tour. And this was kind of the tour that I was involved with. He said, I intend to go out with a bang, you know. This is horrible that he said this. I intend to go out with a bang, you know. I didn't burn out along the way, at least not on stage. Damn fucking right you didn't, David. You
Yep.
fucking went out with a bang.
Fuck yeah.
And on their resurgence, Dave has been known to be very thankful for playing the shows. He loves to see the fans, and he particularly loves to see the children of his fans become fans as well, since the younger people are starting to pick up on these old bands. And I have another comment about that, but we'll save it maybe till after this segment, but remind me. He's also been so willing to meet fans over the years and take photos. He shared in an interview with Laughing Monkey Music in 2023 that he wanted to make a connection with the people who were buying his t-shirts and driving 200 miles to see the show. You can see this evidenced by the massive outpouring of not only just grief, but people posting their memories and photos with him. Like, I've never seen so many photos with fans before, and I have one also. So,
Yes, you do.
yes, I do. So everyone has a photo with him. I don't think that he realized how much he was loved and how many people loved his band. They were underrated and underground as far as like fame and Billboard would tell you.
Big
But
time.
for the people that lived through that time, this band was a household name in our hearts. So I think it was, all these words from him were a little prophetic. He would be gone just a few years later. He was an outspoken humanist and often posted publicly about his left-leaning beliefs in rights for all and the general punk mindset of freedoms bordering on anarchy. He was diagnosed with an aggressive form of skin cancer in January, but truth be told, he had been sick for a bit longer than that. 2 weeks before his death, he married his wife Jennifer at a ceremony in the hospital, attended by his bandmates. Shortly after that, he was sent home. And to be honest, in my heart, I was a little optimistic at the time that he was going home to recover. It would soon become clear that he was sent home for palliative care, while we were all hoping for his recovery. The band who was with him at the wedding and walked out the hospital with him were trying to be optimistic as well, but now they have made statements that they knew they would never see him again.
Very sad.
Yeah, so that's it.
All right. So we're going to go into the Let's Rate the Singer segment of the show. And I want to front load this by saying, because we discussed this, you guys come to the show to hear our honest opinions on these bands and these albums and these musicians. And we're just going to do that. We're just going to review this album and review David Roach as if he was still with us. I think that's how he would want it. And I am going to get us started. And if he was sitting here right next to me, I'm sure he'd probably give me a big hug after this. So let's rate the singer. As always, it's 1 through 100, 25 on hair, 25 on style and stage presence, and 50% on vocal talent. So for me, David Roach is one of the most grossly underrated singers from this era of music. He looked like a badass because he was a badass. He wasn't wearing goofy outfits. He wasn't wearing a bunch of makeup. He was just being himself. He was the real McCoy. So 48 points right there. And for me, his lyrics are only overshadowed in this era of music by guys like Izzy Stradlin or Andy McCoy. Guys like that writing fucking some of my favorite lyrics at the time. I loved his vocal style. So 50 points there for a total of 98 points. There you go.
Nice.
All right. Me next.
Yes.
Sure.
Okay. Let's see. David, his hair was fine. I'm assuming it was bleached blonde.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes longer, sometimes shorter, but he did never go bald. So, score of 18 there. Style and stage presence, he always seemed to keep it pretty real. Jeans and t-shirts and tattoos. No lip service matching jacket and pants or overly foofy hair happening there.
No.
Definitely no lipstick or glitter, which is cool sometimes. I could not find any 1991 live footage, but there is a great video on YouTube from 1989 in a club. If you search YouTube, Junkyard Juni Bravo Archive, JUNIBRAVO Archive. I believe that is a lady in somewhere in California that did a bunch of documenting of local band shows around that time in the late 80s. So if you check this video out, Dave sounds just like the record. He stalks his way around the stage, all while sipping a beer. They played Misery Loves Company from this album in this show from 1989. So they must have had that one in the tank for a while before it was released on the second album. He gets a 19 on style. I'm going to give him a 34.9 on vocal talent. Of course, he is not the most technical singer out there, but there is a rawness and realness that you did not get from a lot of guys, especially around that time. He sang what was in his heart and delivered the same live, unlike others who could sound perfect in the studio and fall on their face live in concert. Prince Neil, cough, cough. Dave was an everyman, just a scraggly dude that you know, not some unrelatable golden idol like John Bon Jovi. So I'm giving him a total score of 71.9.
Nice. Nicely said. Lisa, how did you see Mr. Roach?
So David wasn't so much on my radar in 91, and I'm not sure why that was. This is one of those mysteries, like why I was so blind to Kicks back in the day.
Yeah.
David is a great frontman. In 91, he had the long blonde hair. He had kind of a sweet face. He was pretty, but he dressed pure rock. No pretenses, no costumes, no makeup. This guy was a rocker. And to be fair, so was the rest of the band. I have a hard time putting a glam label on them, beside the fact that they did have a glam label on them back in the day. There was a glam edge to the music a little bit around the corners, just as much as there was a southern edge to the music. It was kind of a mix of all of it, but it was rock in the same vein that GNR was rock. His style wasn't flashy. When he was on stage with the band, he didn't steal the spotlight. But he was still the front man, and you were still watching him. But you could see the rest of the band. They weren't eclipsed by him, which I think is a talent a lot of front men don't have. Sebastian Bach, I'm looking at you. They were a cohesive unit, more than a lot of bands were back in the day, from Bon Jovi in some ways to Whitesnake, by design, I guess, to Skid Row for the sheer beauty of the lead singer. His voice was really, for me, the best part of him. He had the grit, he had the scream, he had the high sustained notes. He could sing a song when it needed a singer and not just a screamer. I'm honestly surprised he didn't get more attention than he did. What was it that kept this band like a hidden gem
Didn't
among
have their
glam
window.
fans?
They didn't have their
But
window.
why didn't we give it to them?
I did.
Why didn't we demand it for them?
I demand it now.
Yeah. So I'll give David a 90.4. And a lot of this is based on this re-listen on the music and on him as a songwriter, and maybe not so much what my feelings were in 1991, nor about my feelings of my interactions with him, recently. And not because he's passed, but because he deserved this score on talent alone. I think he deserved a much bigger stage than he got. So.
Yeah, I agree. I want to elaborate quickly on my 98 because I told you guys I would tell you why I went so high on the score. And this is just really what it's about. If I could spend 1 month sitting down and writing an album with any singer or songwriter from this era, David Roach would be on a very short list for me. It would be Izzy Stradlin and Axl Rose, Andy McCoy and Michael Monroe, And maybe you could throw in Tyler from the Dogs D'Amour there. But these are the guys that I would want to sit down and write a record with and pick their brains for lyrics and ideas. Because I always say it, you have to have life experience to be a good songwriter, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So there it is.
And let's be fair, like Dogs D'Amour, Hanoi Rocks, they also didn't get the stage that they deserve. So he fits right in, you know.
Especially Hanoi Rocks. That is a fucking I'll never if I live to be 1,000,000 years old, I will never know why Hanoi Rocks wasn't Motley Crue. Okay? There it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Great.
Okay,
Lisa.
so on the Violent Vinyl frontman leaderboard, David Roach, lead singer of Junkyard, unfortunately, who we lost just a month ago, hits number 6 on our chart with a total score of 86.77, putting him just below Tammy Down and just above Tom Kiefer.
Oh, yeah, he's way better than both of those guys, but there we go. So, because you know what? This is Tammy Down. Okay, so this is Tammy Down, only he can sing. Like, that's the difference. And we're going to actually get to that on this record. There's a song on this album that actually sounds just like Faster Pussycat, but with David Roach singing. Okay.
Yeah, I had the same comment.
Yeah, so there you go. That's awesome. Okay, let's do some opening thoughts, and then we will break this album down for you. So this is one of the few albums that appear on this show that I still listen to on a regular basis. It's very rare we bring up an album and it's in my rotation of what I will listen to or work all the way through. But this is one of them. I listen to it all the time. It still chokes me up. It does. I get choked up when I listen to Slipping Away and stuff. It brings me back to my moments in my life. It's just one of those records. Just moves me the way a good record should. One that you're going to dig out of the bag from time to time. Dave.
Well, I have not heard this album before. This one is a fresh listen for me.
Wow.
When Junkyard's first album came out, in the other episode, I told the story where I'd saved up points at the arcade in Keansburg, New Jersey. That was the Walk-In Boys arcade, no longer there. Even the building is gone. So.
Just doors down from Vintage Vinyl.
So I got the cassette and I played the hell out of it. Their first album. When this one came out, I couldn't find it in the record stores. I saw ads for it and Hit Parader or Circus Magazine or whatever, but I never could get my hands on it.
That's a problem.
I have it now. I believe I have heard somewhere along the line All the Time in the World before, but the rest is all new to me for this show.
Nice. Oh, that's crazy to me that you've never heard this record. It's blowing my mind. Lisa.
Yes, of course, I've heard this album before the podcast. As I shared, this is a band that I've worked for and befriended in the past. However, back in the day, I obviously did not know them personally, and I still listen to their music. And I would say back in the day, the first album is something that I listened to pretty frequently. So this one I did give a listen to, maybe not as much as I did the first album, but definitely. My heart was still with, Hollywood, the slightly more glam edge, even though this band was never glam, it was more like GNR, but, this album got some play for me. And of course, in later years, I played their album quite a bit. I was working merch for them in the year or two after High Water came out. I sold a bunch of copies of that on vinyl at the shows. And my favorite photo of myself of all time, was taken at doing merch for them at their merch table. I've never met the entire original lineup in person, though. And I did not get to see them with Jane's Addiction back in the day, which I wish I did because they did play in Boston. But I did see them with the Black Crowes at the Channel. And then not again until I think 2011. And then, of course, a ton from 2017 forward.
Nice. All right, so that's it. Let's break this one down. Let's go into track 1. Back on the Streets.
What made you change my ways? What made you really try? It seems to me that you just can't see good things when you buy. And I don't know where I'm going to go. I won't be back here again. It's been nice, but I can't afford the price. And I'm back on the streets again.
Okay, so this one kicks my ass every single time I put it on. From the production to this sleazy guitar riff. And this is where David Roach starts spinning these lyrics that absolutely kill on this album. We get lyrics like, "Don't ask me why I go out and drink my life to ruins. Seems to me I met you in a bar, and that's exactly what I was doing." Dude, my dick just got hard, okay? My dick is hard right now as we speak. This shit gives me chills. I fucking love it. It's as good as it gets. And the pre-chorus, it's fucking fire in this song. I love it. Solos, Southern fried goodness, right? Tastes like chicken to me. I love it. I love this song. Dave.
Woo! Here we go. Kick-ass guitar riff to start the album. Similar vibe to the first album. I love that lyric. Do you remember when we first met? My address was just a license plate.
Oh, so good.
Yeah, it's clever. The bridge brings some acoustic guitar in to add dimension. Dual guitar solo with cool effects. First a rotating speaker, then wah. I'm not sure if one guy played it or if it's both guys trading off, but we get some background vocals added in towards the end to reinforce the hook. Great start.
Yeah, both these guys are good players, but Chris is a little bit better. Lisa.
Great opening riff, high energy, great metal growl scream to start the vocals. I already know this is going to be a dirty, sleazy rock and roll album, and I am ready.
Yes.
I forget sometime how good David's voice was on these first two albums. He had this gritty edge. He could hold a melody, have that high-pitched scream. At times, he sounds a tiny bit like a rock and roll version of Tammy, which is, I think, what you were coming to as well. The thing I like about him is that he had his own sound and his own gritty edge. We get a great chorus here, fantastic bridge right before the solo, where the backup is singing the hook, but Dave is just kind of riffing over the top, like delivering these crazy vocals like bullets. It's crisp and perfect pitch. Lyrics are a great story of a guy who can't keep his shit together, finds a girl to take care of him, but he doesn't want to behave, so he's back out again. Great hook in this song, great freaking guitar solo. The muted piece in the beginning of the solo was so different than anything we were hearing at the time. Great use of heavy-handed effects without sounding lame. The pure punk with a shreddy edge on the second part of the solo. I like how the guitar solo was given like such a big space here. They didn't cut it short. After the solo, there's the second bridge with the great lyrical delivery. 3 strikes and I'm out, and you'll be better off, there's no doubt. Just take a look at my past. We'll see who laughs last.
So
That
good.
shouldn't work, but like he made it work, right? He has like that same talent as Tammy where he like
He does.
you twist the lyrics. Yeah, and speeds like through them to deliver them so they fit whatever the structure of the song is. Like when you read the lyrics on the screen, none of it should work.
Right.
Like, yeah. So great rock, almost blues stick ending to the song. Brilliantly written and executed.
Yeah, I want to add Tammy down to that list of dudes I'd like to sit down and write a record with. I just don't think I would want him to sing it, but that's
Yeah.
okay. Number 2, All the Time in the World.
All the time in the world, I got nothing to do. I got all the time in the world, spinning and waiting for you.
Again, I just love this intro because this, for me, is just no bullshit rock and roll, right? That's what Junkyard is. It's just fucking life experience put to good fucking music. Patrick Mazingo, again, part of the charm of Junkyard for me, he has such a great sound. His fucking drums sound great. His snare sounds great. His selection of fills, just really good. I'm a big fan of this guy. And you pair that with Clay Anthony's bass, which I thought sounded really good on this album. I thought he was playing right along with Patrick, not playing with the guitars, which I always love. And that's it. You got a killer backbone. And when you got lyrics like this and a singer like this and a backbeat and a bass, and you got good stuff. More great lyrics here. We get some nice barroom piano, keeps it very loose. And we get female backing vocals. I mean, what's not like? Fucking great song. Dave.
This one was the single and the big video. They definitely put money into this. I watched the video. I don't remember it from back in the day, but bright, warm colors, big vintage looking light up signs, fake cactuses, showgirls, and giant pool balls.
Yeah.
it doesn't visually feel like Junkyard. This was definitely somebody at the record company's idea. It looks cool though. The guys look slick, nice hair, well dressed. Definitely used to seeing them a little grungier looking. For the music, it's definitely a little more friendly sounding. Good harmonies in the verse and big harmony in the chorus hook. We get some boogie woogie piano, little Hammond organ in the bridge. I thought the lyrics in the bridge seemed a little flat, like, he made them up on the spot. The guitar solo is fine. I like the breakdown after the solo. This one definitely seems made to try to be the single and potential pop hit. It is a good song, but would have been a great third single after two other big hits. But as the one and only big single, I think it didn't quite get there. But still better than the songs I write.
Dave, I 100% agree with you on everything you said. That you nailed it like perfectly. That video fucking murdered them. It should have never fucking come out like that. They should have stuck to their roots and just been dirty and fuck you. And maybe they could have slid in the back door with some of these grunge bands from the day. But nope, they tried to pretty them up, and this is not a pretty band.
Yeah.
Did not work. And I agree, this is not the best song on the album and would not have been my first choice for a single. Lisa.
Nice percussion opening here. I understand why we have the percussion gear breakdown on Wikipedia, because people want to copy this sound.
Yeah.
To be fair, I've heard this song over and over live. The album version is fantastic, but honestly, it doesn't do the song justice as to what it sounds live. We get some bluesy lyrics here, a different tone to David's voice, more controlled. The gritty edge only comes out sometimes on this song. At times, he almost sounds like Bret Michaels. If you haven't listened to Bret Michaels' blues stuff, just take a listen, because it doesn't sound like glam stuff. But yeah, do that comparison. I love the story in this song. A guy not doing much, maybe trying to write that one song, that one hook that makes them famous. But he throws that in the lyric, spending it waiting with you. And that makes it like a tiny bit romantic. While it seems fun on the surface, being carefree, working on your dream, relaxing, it's also directionless. Or maybe a sense of having no purpose or direction that can be depressing, despite the fact that, the music is happy and carefree. I have a feeling this is actually a really melancholy song for David, even though it's kind of a poppy song. Song for me is all about the hook. All the Time in the World is a great title, a great hook delivered with just the right tone, filled out by the perfect backing vocals. It's one of those earworm songs that if you hear it, you're going to sing that hook in your head over and over for the rest of the day. We get some blues piano playing in the background, which of course for me is the highlight on this song. We have a great bridge that takes us to a different tempo and tone and brings the vocals way back up to that upper register with the grit that makes the song a tiny bit more glam alongside the blues. While the guitar solo is all blues, there are some shreddy glam edges through it that make it really unique. And again, they gave it space to develop and didn't cut it short. We have some nice isolated vocals after the solo with the percussion backing that brings the song back around to the chorus. And we get the story resolution, which is nice because we don't always get a story resolution, right? But he says, give me something for nothing if nothing is free. Hold on. Hey, cuz things are going great. And they think and they got nothing to do with me. Sorry, I butchered that.
Okay.
But basically, he knows things are going great, but he also knows that things are going great and it has nothing to do with what he's doing. Life is just happening to him and he's like existing in the world. So great song. Love to hear this song live. It sticks in my head every time. The video for this one, remember, this is 1991. This is the death knell of glam. We're in the shadow of Guns N' Roses. We got a gritty rock and roll video with pirate shirts and cowboy shirts and boots and a hat. I've heard that this is a sin to wear all three cowboy pieces on the same person. It definitely wasn't their style for sure. They look a little bit country. Their hair, they're not wearing makeup, but they're like shined up, if you will.
Yeah, they're too clean, too.
And they look wildly uncomfortable, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They do. And it made me tear up a little because, seeing him young and knowing that he's lost to us now was a little stick in the heart. I remember that this video had heavy rotation on MTV. It actually debuted on Headbangers Ball in 1991. The band, funnily enough, cannot remember who directed the video. They claim that Geffen cleaned them up for the video, new clothes, new hairstyling, and didn't let them use their normal concert performance street looks, and they weren't so sure about doing it. They were on their European tour when the video debuted, and they came back to the U.S. 3 weeks later, after its 3 weeks after its debut, to tour with Lynyrd Skynyrd, which does not match the feeling of this like showgirl Vegas kitsch video. So it must have been a really confusing time for them. They probably were having some like identity crisis over that, I think.
Yeah. I mean, the label should have pushed them into that more classic rock
They
country
should have.
thing, and they probably could have broken free of the hair metal thing and maybe sold some records.
Yeah. I didn't like seeing him without his vest, and he didn't have his
No.
battle vest back in the day, but he was
No.
always wearing like a leather vest, and yeah, it was
Yeah, they had
weird.
him in some weird belt and his pants. It's just bad.
Yeah.
It was just bad. I want denim. I want my Junkyard in denim, not black jeans and weird belts. So House of Pain, Faster Pussycat, right? Put them on the map. A great song,
Yeah.
great timing, ballad. They had Slipping Away. It was ready to go. It was right there. Black and white video. Put these
Yep.
guys in their jeans. Make it tough. Make it fucking hometown. John Cougar, the boss, and you've got a hit fucking song here. This fucking thing they pushed out was dog shit. It fucking pisses me off. Up at number 3. Give the devil his due.
I wanna dance with the darling, have one night stand. I wanna practice safe sex as many times as I can. I wanna smoke, I wanna drink, I wanna fight, I wanna give my love to you and give the devil his due.
So this one reminded me of a tougher Faster Pussycat song with better lyrics. Like, this is Faster Pussycat. You could fucking literally have Tame Me Down sing it his way, and it could go on a Faster Pussycat album. Song is Dirty Hollywood. That's the only way I can explain it. It's the strip. David spins a fun, sleazy story. It's weaved with incredible lyrics, incredible vocals. I mean, this is the formula on the record, and he just keeps giving it to me over and over and over. Guitar work on this one, super rich. It's fun. It's great. And the arrangement, it's good. They go into a couple of little interesting parts on it. I love the tune. It's great. 3 for 3. Boom. Dave.
Blues rock in here. Sounds a little like Way Cool Jr. by Rat. Solid song about living a life of excess. The middle part is cool with the thumping piano low notes setting up the guitar solo, and this is some greasy guitar playing.
Dave,
Is greasy a good word or a bad word?
Yes.
Okay.
Good. Dave, it does sound a little bit like Way Cool Jr., doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I now that you say it, I'm like, oh yeah, there it is. Lisa.
I immediately know this song is going to be sleazy and bluesy from the opening notes, and how dirty is David's voice on this one. It's
So
the
good.
perfect mix of like grit and tone that makes for a sleazy song. One thing I notice, and I've already said this before, is that he delivers these complex lyrics really quickly. I was almost having a hard time to clean up, so I'm like absorbing a line, and he's already 3 lines ahead. Like, I had to go back and hear the story properly for that. Great writing, great storytelling lyrics, and great at weaving these lyrics into a melody that you don't expect. The lyrics here are a story about a guy who wants to live a fast life, do all the things, but he also wants to clean himself up. But living a clean life is harder and more expensive than doing all the fun stuff, right? So the lyrics, check into a clinic, costs about $2,000 a day. I can't afford to live like this, can't afford to change my ways.
Oh, fuck yeah.
And I imagine not just for him, but certainly for him because of, how screwed they were money-wise. But for a lot of people back in the 80s, it was hard. It was too expensive to clean up. Like, rehabs are expensive. Like, getting help is expensive. Like, how they want you to clean up, but you can't. You
Yeah.
can't. So Guitar work here is great. We get those perfect little licks between the verses. I seriously shouldn't like this song because it's so bluesy, but I do.
Nice.
I love the gang vocals on the chorus. I want to smoke. I want to drink. I want to fight. I want to give my love to you and give the devil his due. Right before that, there's this like little break that's just bass and drums, and it's super fast, maybe only 8 bars, and it's like so good. A very subdued bluesy guitar solo reminds me a little bit of Joe Perry from Aerosmith. It's very different from the first 2 songs, and it shows some serious flexibility from the guitarist being able to do these really complex solos, whereas this one sounds more like someone just jamming and improvising, which is like super cool. When the solo ends, we get little pieces as if the solo continues behind the rest of the lyrics through the play out. And in the final verse, they bring it down again before the chorus and the play out. I love that. This song needs to be longer.
Lisa, good call on that Joe Perry thing, man. It's definitely there, 100%. It's in my notes
Yeah.
too. Yeah, we've been priced out of life. I mean, literally. You want to talk to somebody, you have like some emotional problems. You
Sorry.
want to talk to a real psychiatrist that has like a degree. You can't. It's $500 for a half an hour. You can't afford
Right.
it. It's just not
Yeah.
it's not for the regular person. You could talk to someone that works on the psychic hotline, like on the weekends, like a Zoom call that could fuck you up even more. But that's about it.
And you talk about going to rehab, rehab is exponentially expensive. Like some of these places are $20,000 to $30,000 a month for
Yeah.
treatment.
Yeah.
Like who
Yeah,
can
you
do
just
that? And
you just
you know,
smoked your
you're-
life away and
Yeah.
crack, and you've got 20 grand left for rehab. No, of course not.
Yeah, like what addict can afford any of that?
Can't.
Even a few days of even regular medical care. If you have an overdose, is you go to the ER and now you lose your house. Like it's just
Yeah.
crazy now.
I just paid $2,500 for a crown, for a fucking crown that I already
Crazy.
had. It's like, so now I'm $5,000 into this one fucking lousy tooth. Oh,
It's
Jesus.
insanity. Yeah,
It's
I don't know how
insanity.
any of us are alive still.
I don't know.
So-
All right. Track number 4, Slipping Away.
And all the dreams that you hold keep slipping away. Slipping away, slipping away. Little by little, and day by day, slipping away, slipping away. Little by little, and day by day, I've been slipping away.
So this is the truth, okay? I made my wife listen to this again this morning. She's like, I fucking know the song. I liked the album too back in the day. But I'm like, no, you gotta listen to this song. So I put it on. I literally struggle to listen to this song without choking up. And that's just a fact, especially now with David, Roach having just passed away. This one, it hits me right in the old heartstrings. This is everything that I love about music and songwriting. These are the songs that I strive to write. This is a perfect song, in my opinion. The lyrics are so heartfelt, executed so perfectly. It's laced with these beautiful female backing vocals. Jesus, the end of the first chorus, when the female backing vocals come in that swell. I love it. Dave.
Slipping Away was co-written by Steve Earle, who also contributed backing vocals to a few other tracks on this album. Steve is an American country, rock, and folk singer-songwriter. He began his career as a songwriter in Nashville and released his first EP in 1982. His songs have been recorded by legends like Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson. We're mellowing out the album a little bit here. We get some acoustic guitars and Hammond organ. I got to wonder if this is in the right key for David's voice. I feel like it might have been a more effective vocal without him starting so low in his range. The harmony guitar solo was okay. I would have liked to have heard something a little more epic sounding. And I feel like the song needed another bridge or a breakdown or something like that. But I thought it was a good song. but they were a few years early on this one for like 90s adult contemporary radio with this sound.
Interesting. So you don't think this one would have been the single for the album?
It could have been a single, but I feel like it could have been stronger.
Good. Lisa.
Well, we had to have a compulsory ballad for that time period, of course. But again, it doesn't feel compulsory. It feels natural for this album. We have a nice acoustic intro, unique enough from the time that I'm not finding any other songs in it, which is great. It's almost like all of the acoustic tracks of that time period are similar, but this one, it's a little grittier. And his vocals really separate it from the pack of those other songs. His sound is his vocals are really naked, no effects, no reaching for high notes, just like he's sitting there telling you a story in his real voice. And that's what he did with this song. The lyrics are beautiful, a song about being in a place that you grew up, watching time go by, nothing coming to fruition, being trapped. But, in the last verse, we get a save where the friend says, make sure you don't lose yourself. It's super cool roundabout story.
I'm about to cry. Just stop, okay?
I know that now that he's gone, it's even harder. Like that, these are just poignant lyrics to hear him say, and especially knowing all the fights that he had throughout his life, doing exactly what he's singing about. He lived it, so that's why it hits us so hard. Even when the song comes in and the electric instruments come in, he keeps his vocal tone raw, which is really needed for this song. The gang vocals take the part of balancing his low tones with some higher notes, which is a nice touch. It isn't until the last verse where his voice changes some, which makes it almost like he's giving up at that point to the sad situation, to end the story. I can't compare this to any other song of the time. It's unique and heartfelt. Is there some cheese? Yes, but it's just the right amount, which was needed in an album of this caliber in this year with this landscape of music. A nice guitar solo that fits the song. We get a little bit of glam sustained notes, some tonal harmonics. Not sure if this is layered or if both guitar players are playing it together. But it's a nice effect. This song has a long play out at the end, over a minute long. And I can see that they were trying to arrange this song to play against the ballads of this time with the long play out, maybe to increase the time you got to dance with your date at the high school snowball when they played the song. Honestly, for me, it's not too long. It's a warm song, but I'm also glad they didn't end the album side on this down note because I'm really down at the end of this song. So.
Lisa, the staggering of the songs was very good on this album.
Yes, yeah.
It makes the pacing of the album
They
really
knew
work.
they had a lot of melancholy and darkness in this, and they tried to balance it out. And even some of the up-tempo songs, if you really think about them, they're some of the darkest ones on the album. So,
well, speaking of melancholy dark songs with upbeat tempos, track number 5, Nowhere to Go But Down.
Somebody else. And if you wanna die bad, down somebody else. You got nowhere to go but down. Nowhere to go but down.
So this one is a dark story of alcohol abuse, and you have to imagine that this is, again, a personal memoir from, David Roach, putting stories of his own life into his music, which again is what makes great music. I mean, all the best people, Dave, Jersey boy, the boss, he's talking about your life. He's talking about things you can relate with. They don't sound made up. It doesn't sound like some guy talking about switchblades and strip joints and girls down Saturday night. It just doesn't have that feel.
That was like Paul Stanley and Bret Michaels mixed together.
Yes, thank you. They touched. They got too close, like in Time Cop, and came this one sloppy glam singer. Merged. Again, it's just great. It's a solid rocker. We get this really cool breakdown, a ripping chorus. And I love these guitar players. They play good together. Like I said, obviously Chris is a little bit better, but they know their place. They play really well together, and they play well together in this song. Dave.
Yes, here we go back to rocking again. Circular guitar riff works well here. Songs about the downfall of a friend. Cool breakdown before the nasty guitar solo that sounds a little like Slash, which is cool. Another cool song.
Lisa.
I needed an up-tempo song right after that last one, so I'm glad for this. Angry right from the start. Lyrics are about someone watching their friend who's doing a lot of bad stuff to themselves, drinking problems, lying, and then a friend that sees that there's nowhere to go from this, and it's hard to watch. But then when they try to help their friend over and over, the friend kind of has already burned all the bridges, and it just is trying to drag everyone down with them. You say you're a social drinker. Well, you socialize a lot.
Yeah.
Great arrangement on this song. Most of these songs actually have an easy to follow classical arrangements with great bridges. Speaking of bridges, we get a bass solo here under the bridge, which is a nice change. Very rock and not glam. The vocal first part of the bridge is delivered nicely over the bass with a different tempo and tone than the beginning. Bluesy guitar solo fitting to the song, classic sleaze rock. I think, and actually neither one of you went crazy over this, but I was sure that you were both going to love the solo, but I think there are better ones in the earlier songs. This is another great blues ending, which is probably, great live to hear. Good ending to the first side.
Yeah, no, I referenced the guitar players. I thought the guitar work was excellent in the song. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
Okay.
I said the guitar solo was nasty, which is a compliment.
Okay,
That's
I
right,
didn't-
you did
I
say
can never
nasty.
greasy,
And
nasty. What
I
do
think
I
you
know?
actually even said Slash in your fucking.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, so that ends side A. If you listen to the podcast on vinyl, this is where you will flip the album over. There you go. So it's time for us to move over to the Should They Have Made It segment. And I chose the Love Tribe from New York City, and the song was Stuck in the Middle. So, of course, you guys know I'm going to take you down a little memory lane here. So I was living in New York City at the time, and I started telling the story last week when I told you the song we are going to do, but I'll complete it for you now. So I was living in the Village with my girlfriend, this unbelievably hot chick from California that I dragged across the country with me. And I was working in a little magic costume shop at the time, right in the Village. And she worked the desk, and I was the magic man. So they would send me out in this little fucking weird tuxedo with this giant magician's head, like with a big magic hat and like a top fucking goatee. And like there were two big eye holes on the front that I could see out of, and two holes on the sides I could see out of. And people would,
Nuh-uh.
oh yeah, and people would, and I would hand out these fake dollar bills that had like the address of the magic shop, and it was like 10% off whatever you buy or whatever it was. So that was my job, and I would walk around doing that, and people would come up and be like, "Hey, does Mr. Magic Man like beer?" And they'd like pour beer on me and flick cigarettes off me, and it was just a horrible job. But so the Chili Peppers were playing at the Limelight this night, and they had come in to get their Pope outfit that they would use. And they needed something for the outfit. I don't know if something got damaged or whatever, but they needed something. So they came in and they had got some items, and they had left the Pope hat behind. So they contacted the store and they asked if my girlfriend would bring the hat to the show at the Limelight, and they would give her passes to get in and backstage passes. So clearly they left it there on purpose. Just wanted to bang my girlfriend, right? So she says yes, of course. She gets 2 passes, and we are off to the Limelight to see Red Hot Chili Peppers. While I'm there, I am approached by some very cool looking dudes. And it is Stacy Chemical, who was the original bass player of the Glamour Punks, Schizo and Strange. They were both the guitar players of the Glamour Punks. They had moved to New York, and Schizo and Strange were now playing in Love Tribe. And Stacy was playing in Sable Sex with John and Sable. So I joined that band, and the joke around was that we were the best looking band in New York City, but we never did anything. We just liked to drink at the scrap bar and, do some practices, and just didn't do much in the city. We dabbled, but we never got serious. But Schizo and Strange were getting serious. They were playing in the Love Tribe, which was one of the hottest bands in the Village at the time. People would always come up and think that I was Schizo, because we are, 2 East Coast boys with giant noses and big hair. And he would get the same. And we'd talk about this years later, how people would confuse us for each other. at the scrap bar and around town, which is always fun for me. But yeah, let's get to the song. So this song for me and this band for me is just, man, they were rock and roll. They were a little punk. They all looked great. The drummer was an amazing singer. The singer was an amazing singer. So together live, they were covering everything. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to find an actual demo of the song. So we had to kind of just listen to this really rough recording where the audio didn't even line up with the video, which was a little bumming. But I did share another link with you too from another show that maybe was a little easier to make out. So yeah, ass kicking band, great everything. I'm going to give this song 97.9, and that's just with the way I heard it. I'm sure the demo or the bullshit album they did, it was much better. Dave.
Yeah, I like the song. The band looks great. The singer reminds me a little bit of Tame Me Down, maybe a little copycat action there. But I do love the one guy's pink polka dot Les Paul guitar.
That's strange.
I would totally rock that on stage.
Fuck yeah.
The riff is catchy. I would definitely like to hear an actual album of these guys. And of course, I would have hung out at their shows back in the day if I was a couple years older. I'm going to say, yeah, they should have made it at least a little bit. 76.5.
Nice. Lisa, what did you think of the Love Tribe?
So the available video that's on Skitza's channel is absolute garbage, right?
Yes.
So you got to look at the longer one to get a real
Yes.
look at this band, the one that's 25 minutes long that has multiple songs in it. But how freaking cool do these guys look? So in the first video, most of the band has black hair, right? But the singer has blonde hair, which is maybe giving us the Tame Me Down feel a little bit. But they have huge black hair, right? Like Pretty Boy Floyd level hair,
Yes.
right? But in this first video, the blonde singer has a hat on. His hair is kind of flatter. He looks a little more rock and roll. But if you look at the longer video, it's the complete opposite. The guys with the dark hair have the flatter, more rock and roll look. And the singer has gone pure CC DeVille, like
Yes.
full glitter glam, big hair.
With the
Yeah,
dolly
crazy.
like napkin thing hanging out of
Yes,
his yes,
yes,
it's so good.
exactly.
Yeah, the pirate shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to be a
So
pirate.
this is sleaze glam like at its height, right?
Yeah.
So of course I noticed the pink polka dot Les Paul guitar as well. In the second video, you can actually get a better look at the other guitarist's white guitar, which is also super cool, but it's not obvious in the main video. Cigarettes hanging out of their mouths, guitars slung down to their knees, great outfits. They look just glam enough with a hard rock edge. The song we're talking about, well written and delivered, it's pure sleaze glam. But wow, some of the other songs in the longer video I like even better. There's a
Yeah.
song called Love Addiction that is like off the charts amazing. So as we know, Spin Spur passed February 1st, 2002. He was also in Scarecrow, but not the Scarecrow band that we talked about with Eddie Ojeda in the last episode, a different Scarecrow. Jason, of course, guitarist of the Glamour Punks with Jeff Strange, definitely should have made it 85.9.
Yeah, one of the most impressing things about this to me, first of all, how good did Schizo look, Jason, in that second video with that
Yep.
white Les Paul bass, those stiletto shoes, the suede black jacket, smoking the cigarette. Oh, fuck, it was cool.
Yeah, the cigarettes are crazy to me now because now you would never see that.
Ah, the good old days
Yeah.
where you could smoke in clubs.
Yeah, it sucks too because just before he passed away, him and I had really started like chatting on Messenger back and forth, just talking about the day. And we had talked about how we were going to really nail down that time in New York, and that was
Yeah.
it. He had passed away, and we never got to do it. But what really impressed me the most was that Schizo and Strange went to Hollywood and became one of the biggest bands on the strips with the Glamour Punks, right?
Yeah.
And then when that kind of, devolved, or what, for whatever reason they left and went to New York, they were able to recreate that magic again. So they did it in the two biggest scenes in America, really. And it just is a testament to how, talented isn't the word I want to use, how like just magnetic these two guys were as just persona. They were just guys you wanted to love, And so good for them for doing it twice in a row. Very hard to do. Very hard to do. Lisa, talk about it.
Okay.
Where are they?
So on our Violent Vinyl, should they have made it chart? The Love Tribe, Stuck in the Middle, comes up at number 2 with
Nice.
a total score of 86.77, just below the Zeros, Love's Not Fair, and just above the Ultras, Galactic Kid.
I love that placing. It was funny. So Delin had never seen it. So we were in the living room the other day and I just put that, Love Tribe video up and she was like, holy shit, this is fucking awesome. She's
Yeah.
like, those dudes are so fucking hot.
I would love to see a higher quality, video set of them too, which would be great.
Yeah.
So.
And Tommy ended up, the Love Tribe continued on. Tommy ended up doing Tommy and the Love Tribe, and it changed a little bit. He flattened his hair down, started wearing bell bottoms, still played with cool dudes with long black hair, bass player, guitar player. And you can check those videos out too. They kept playing live in New York for probably, I want to say maybe 10 years after this band, stopped. So there you go. Go check it out. Tommy and the Love Tribe. So that's it. Let's go over to side B now. And side B starts with track 6, Misery Loves Company.
Such a mess, what a surprise, you're depressed. What the hell am I supposed to do? You wanna sit in your chair and play with your hair while the world crashes in on you. Misery loves company, but there's nothing I can do. Misery loves company, but don't drag me down with you. Don't drag me down.
So this one for me is so much fun. I love this loose bar room feel. I know, Lisa, this probably isn't your cup of tea, but this one had a Dogs D'Amour feel to me. And I love the Dogs D'Amour. So that must mean I love this song. Yes, I do. Dave.
Yeah, there's a video for this one, some performance footage, some playing cards, and a sweet red convertible. Definite Southern rock influence. We get the honky-tonk piano returning on this track. It sounds like the song is about a toxic friendship. Everything on the album is well recorded and able to be heard. It's also helpful that the overall sound changes a little from song to song to keep the listener interested.
Yeah, Dave, you thought the production was good on this album, right? I thought it was excellent.
Yeah.
Lisa.
Song is so blues. Nice opening for a blues song. Love the piano on this one. A subtle addition and not overpowering. Vocals here are straight out of a Southern rock song, but somehow it works. I wonder who he wrote this about. The lyrics seem to be talking about someone that is an absolute buzzkill to hang out with, who's always miserable and depressed and tries to bring everyone else down too, so they aren't alone. I know lots of people like this that ask for advice, never take it, and just choose to wallow in their misery, don't want to do anything about it, and make everyone else suffer with them. Nice hook. Not sure if I can sing along with the hook since the melody is maybe a bit standardized. Like every note is exactly what I expect it to be. Bluesy guitar solo. I hear a tiny bit of Joe Perry or maybe some like other Southern rock bands. I don't know many Southern rock bands, but I'm thinking like Leonard Skinner or Allman Brothers, kind of that sound. I like the part after the guitar solo when Dave comes in with the chorus and it's a bit changed and then the music drops away and we get the first few lines of the chorus with almost no music behind it, and the piano becomes kind of the featured instrument throughout the play out. Basically, it's not my style of music, but I found myself singing along to it by the end of it. I have heard this one live and I enjoy it much more when they do it live. I like the ending. It's a bit 50s style even. And I was surprised this one had an official video. I don't remember seeing this one back in the day.
Yeah, me neither.
They were at the this is from their tour with Leonard Skinner in St. Louis, Missouri, and Jacksonville, Florida. Originally aired on MTV in 1991. They do remember the director this time, Mark Racco. We get some black and white images of the band. kind of that fade in and out with colored images as the video goes on. I like the treatment where the color and the black and white are interspersed. It makes it look like a band just living their normal life, playing cards and going on tour and playing shows, hanging out backstage. It makes you feel like you're part of their world. In this video, they look a lot like themselves, right? So it's much more comfortable. Before it seems in my head they had on their church clothes, right? Whereas in this time, they, he's got his leather vest, precursor to the battle vest. They're wearing t-shirts and jeans. They look much more comfortable. There's some bikini-clad women rocking in the audience. It's just really fun. I don't know if this one lasted too long on MTV with them being their real selves with other shiny, overproduced monstrosities around them at the time. I think this one kind of this video faded into the background, but I thought it was better for them, so.
It got lost. Delin was ripping the songs for the show today. She was ripping this one. I think she dedicated it to me. I was like, thanks. All right. Track number 7. Throw It All Away. So on this one, this is where I got to throw some light on Patrick Mazingo's snare sound. I thought the drums sounded so damn good on this one. And like I alluded to earlier, if you want to hear about how we got this amazing snare sound, you can go over to that first podcast and he'll tell you all about it. As for the song, it has these great ascending riffs. I love this fucking bup. It's good. Song has solid production. They're using a lot of nice stereo tricks on the guitars where it's going left to right. And I just think it's another great track. I mean, like they said, there's really no like full potholes in this album. It's a pretty steady listen. Dave.
There's some really aggressive guitars on this one. Good album track. Sounds like Junkyard, maybe a little more metally than usual. They throw in some nice rhythmic touches in the song too. That wah-wah effect on the guitar at the very end could have been used, I think, a little more in the song too. It was almost like they threw it away at the end. They could have added that in to spice it up some more. Sure.
Lisa.
The nice glam opening gives us a very different feel than the last song. Sounds more like the original Junkyard. The lyrics on this one have a similar theme than the other songs, and now looking back, it should have been a huge spotlight on David's situation. I know the songs are technically all written by the whole band, but a lot of these songs make me feel like David's situation was in the forefront. I'm not saying that no one else in the band was suffering, because we know that some of the others were as well. But themes like waiting for inspiration, having nothing to do, drinking and doing drugs, having nothing to look forward to. This character in this song may be taking pills and can't seem to write songs. We do know that Junkyard wrote a ton of songs for this album, picking only the cream of the crop and leaving a ton on the cutting room floor. I wonder if this worry about not having anything to say was just a personal insecurity, because he had a ton to say. Yeah, I really like how the last two lines of each verse change up, almost become like a pre-chorus. We get a good solo here, a little maybe EVH around the edge. I like the dead air stop for a split second before he delivers the play out. I really like this one.
Yeah, I did too. It's a fucking great song. Track number 8, Killing Time.
Now I'm just killing time. Well, I'm waiting. Won't you come on back to me? But I'm getting nowhere, and time's killing me. Time's killing me. Time's killing me. Time's killing me.
So, Lisa, tell me you didn't get this. This one kicks in with an Aerosmith vibe, and specifically Crazy. Boom, 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 boom. Right? It really reminded me of Crazy.
I heard that too. Yeah.
Yeah, we get some really great guitar riffs in this one. We get some really great melodies from David in this one. And I mean, it's all over the album, but I just really noticed it on this one. And finally, David always finds a way to hit a register with his vocals that overachieves my expectation of where he's going with it in the song. Like, just when I think, oh, it's kind of like, I'm not getting as much as I want, there it is. He's going to go a little higher. He's going to hit a higher note. He's going to, I mean, it's not a one trick pony. I mean, it's not. He's got more than one trick in his bag. No, he's not Sebastian Bach. No, he's not the greatest singer I ever heard, but he's definitely not a schlub. Definitely not a schlub. He kills his own material, in my opinion. I like this one mostly for Dave's ability to tell the story, which for me is the charm of the album. Dave.
A slower bluesy song, but still pretty strong sounding. David's voice gets pretty soulful in those verses. And then there's the wall of background vocals that's just sort of there, but very polite before the solo. I feel like they should have recorded the backups a little differently, a little more guts and assertive backup vocals. A cool solo, guitar back and forth, some slide licks. The drums are pounding on this one. Might be the longest fade out on a song ever. It took a long time.
Dave, I agree with you on those background vocals. Anytime they try and clean up Junkyard for me, I immediately don't want it.
Yeah, it was kind of wimpy sounding.
Yeah, just give me the Junkyard backups, and fucking if the public doesn't want it, I don't care. That's how I want to hear it. Lisa.
For this one, we get a nice tempo change, an antithesis to the standard songs on this album. I really like that they're showing different arrangements here. Vocal flexibility here, too. He isn't just delivering those bullets anymore. We get some real singing in the choruses. Probably my favorite delivery he made on this entire album. Feels a tiny bit like a tribute to Whitesnake, not like a copy, but like a tribute. Lyrics are, again, the same topic, watching time go by, waiting for someone who left him. I love the bridge before the solo. I love the guitar solo on this one. I love the droning blues dragging tempo. I love when they come out of the solo and bring it way down to do another verse. The song is pretty long, and that's a good thing. The play out is extremely extended. We get that nice blues guitar lick, almost like another solo. It's a long fade, and honestly, I wanted to keep going. This should not be my style at all, but I really like this one, and again, it's my favorite vocal performance on the album.
Wow. Yeah, it was funny. I heard that you said favorite vocal performance on the album, and I commented on how he was like just doing some things I wasn't expecting him to do on the record. So great stuff. Okay, track number 9, Clean the Dirt.
Leave me be here by my little old lonesome. I need the company of no one. Just pack your bags, close the door behind you. If you really love me, you just go away. If you really love me, you just go away. Go away and clean the dirt behind you. I'll be alright, you just leave me alone. I don't need you, you try my patience. If you really love me, you just go away. 'Cause if you really love me, you just go away.
So this one is right up my alley, from the Southern blues guitars to David's amazing lyrics. And I want to quote the lyrics, but like you said, Lisa, they just don't sound as good when you're just reading them like this. Like you have to hear it in context with, his melody and the way it's fitting in with the music. But he says stuff like, I'm having a drink, just trying to wallow my troubles. You came around and my drinks, they turned to doubles. It's just, it's so good, and this is something that actually happened to him. And the inflection in his voice, it just fucking hits for me, like when he wants you to feel like he's desperate and lost all, hope, he lets his voice crack a little bit, and it just works for me. The organ is great. I love this song. I couldn't love this one anymore. I think it's really, really great. I'm glad they didn't use it as the final cut on the album, because when these guys bring it down, it gets sad. Dave.
Yeah, this song credits Chris Gates and David Roach as songwriters, as well as Mike Mart, who was formerly the guitarist and songwriter of Chex and the Horseheads, another great band. They had a song by the same name on their 1984 debut album. I did not listen to the whole thing, but sounded pretty similar when I sampled it for a minute. So I'm thinking this one is basically a cover song. However, reportedly, the Junkyard guys added some additional lyrics, thus the writing credit. Good song, has the Southern rock vibe. Lyrics are pretty bitter, but I understand the sentiment. I've been there.
Lisa.
Is there such thing as a Southern rock power ballad? Because I think
Sure.
this is it.
There it is.
It's a really sad song, a story about a guy who's drinking away his relationship and telling his partner, if you love me, leave me alone to drink myself to death.
This should have been in fucking Leaving Las Vegas.
Yeah. Yep. Addicts push people away, and this is the perfect example of that. He really tells a story here from beginning to end, which a lot of bands don't do. It's a lost art, these like story songs. Title really isn't a hook for me, though I understand why they chose the title. The hook for me is, if you really love me, you'll just go away. And, that's fantastic. I love how the song transitions between the slower tempo acoustic parts to the bigger electric parts. I'm not 100% sold on the guitar solo. I keep reminding myself that this is a Southern rock style band, and it's not my style, but I specifically do not like this guitar tone. I'm not sure if it's an effect or something like that, or amp or pedals, but this is not for me. That's really my only criticism of the song.
And Lisa, from time to time, he would put this weird effect on his guitar, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know I don't think it was Chris's guitar. I think it was the other one. And it would sound almost like over processed a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah. This one was very country to me, and I just didn't like that. So, but
Yeah.
the rest of the song is great.
All right. Last song on the record, Lost in the City.
Pack my gear, I'm out of here, so here I'm gone. Don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I've been, and I'm lost in the city again. Lost.
So for me, this is how you end an ass-kicking album. It brings me back to my days living in different cities, from California to New York, Boston, Florida. All my crazy adventures along the way as a young degenerate, aspiring rocker. I love this song. It's one of my favorite Junkyard songs. I love this chorus. It just, like I said, it just brings me back to a time in my life when I was just doing stuff. It's like that Jane's Addiction, Nothing Shocking album. There's certain albums that just bring me back to a place in my life, and this one, it does it. Dave.
Good rocker to close out the album. The punk vibe comes through for sure. Like the percussive guitar noises, they heighten that last verse after the solo. And I almost hear David like sort of channeling Jim Morrison in there, unless I'm crazy.
Yep,
Absolutely correct. Yep.
But yeah, great car crash noise at the end. Good way to end the album.
Lisa.
Thankful we have a high tempo song to end the album. Punk edge. Live, they really have a punk edge in general, which is nice. Even more punk than they sound on the albums, which is great. Has a bit of a live feeling. Sounds more to me like how they sound live. A little messy, loud. Guitars fighting for dominance. You can hear the bass and the drums in this one. The production on this entire album has been great. We do get the bullet delivered lyrics in this one. He seems to be singing about being on tour and not knowing where he is at any given time, drinking too much and being lost. Even though the lyrics are fast, they're delivered well. I can understand them. I like how it sounds a little bit like they're jamming. I love the pre-chorus change. We get a lot of fun guitar work behind it, really behind the whole song. We don't really get a guitar riff after that great bridge. He's almost like riffing in the lyrics. But there's a lot of effects throughout this song. The car crash sound at the end, which is perfect. It's not at all cheesy, where it could have been if somebody did it wrong, but I think it fits perfect with this song. And even the little cheeky spoken word part at the end is a great way to end the album.
I thought it was a great ender. All right, so that's it. We have broken down 6s, 7s, and 9s by Junkyard. I hope that you guys enjoyed the conversation. I know I enjoyed discussing it. So that's it. Let's let's go answer a couple questions here. Like, what's my favorite song? I think it's obvious that my favorite song is Slipping Away. What song I would cut? Have to be Nowhere to Go But Down. Like Lisa, I don't want to cut any songs on this album, but it is my job and I will stick to the rules. Dave.
Oh man,
This is gonna be hilarious.
We're totally opposite today. My
no.
favorite track, they're all pretty good. Let's say Nowhere to Go But Down. And the track I would cut, this is going to be controversial. I would cut Slipping Away. I just don't think it's I just don't think it's the right song for Junkyard. I don't think it's right for them.
I feel like Dave's fucking with me.
No.
Holy shit.
My script did not change my notes that I wrote.
It's true.
Oh my God. Never before have two people heard one album differently. Holy shit. Lisa.
My favorite track was Killin' Time, with an honorable mention to All the Time in the World. And I am going to cut, this one was really hard because I feel like all of the songs were needed to show their flexibility, but I'm going to go with Misery Loves Company because it's just not my style of music. It's that real pure Southern blues, not my thing.
Sure. All right, let's replace some members. I would remove Brian Baker, the blonde guitar player, and I would replace him with one young Joe Perry.
Oh, interesting, because we
yes.
mentioned him
Yes,
several
we did.
times through
Yes, we
here,
did.
so.
Dave.
Yeah, we kind of heard it the same way. Tough choice. I think they could have used just a little more guitar flash here, but more importantly, I thought they could have used a little more help in, the hooks department for this album. Interviews with the band at the time revealed they sort of had a hard time getting a group of songs together that they were happy with, and it took a couple of years. So let's remove Brian Baker, and instead we're going to add in Gilby Clarke.
Oh, same. Basically my pick, because Gilby Clarke is like a retread of fucking Joe Perry. That's fucking awesome. Perfect. In fact, I like yours a little better because I think Gilby Clarke really would fit them better. Lisa.
I'm going different than you guys. I'm going to replace Clay Anthony. He was fine, but there's not a lot of featured bass on this album, and I didn't find myself going, wow, that's great bass, really, at all through the whole thing, but he's fine. So I think if you removed any of the others, you may not have the same band as you did when you came out. So I'm replacing him with Billy Sheehan, formerly of David Lee Roth's solo band, and Mr. Big.
What?
Yeah. Yes, I stand by that.
Is that a joke pick?
That is terrible. That is
Wow.
the worst recast ever. That is the worst ever. So, hey, Lisa, you're in my office again. You now got 2 strikes, okay? Holy shit. She said Dave. She said Dave. She said Billy Sheehan.
I like
said
him. What's
Billy
wrong with you
Sheehan.
guys?
Not exactly the spice needed for this bowl of soup.
I don't think Junkyard wants bass solos.
Holy shit. She said fucking Billy Sheehan. It's the greatest moment ever in this show.
I'm telling Patrick Mazingo on you.
Me and Dave both just fell out of our chairs. I was like, did she just say fucking
You guys
Billy
are
Sheehan?
mean.
No, it's getting there. We're getting there. We're getting
All
there.
right.
Okay, let's pull a plug on that. Let's do some final scores, though. So Junkyard was the band that the cool bands liked. This is the band that the cool bands like GNR were listening to, and there's a reason for that. It's because they were fucking awesome. I absolutely love this album. It comes in just a hair behind the first one, even though I think Slipping Away is their best song ever written. For me, it is pushing 95.9 watts, what comes up just a little shy of my score on their first album. So there you go. Dave.
I could definitely understand Brian Baker's sentiment from his interview that we talked about earlier in the facts. You can totally hear the record, or sense the record company meddling with the band and their sound to try to get them to blow up bigger than they did. It didn't seem to help at the time. In the long run, they became or remained sort of underground band that still has a pretty dedicated fan base. Kind of the same thing you said. They were one of those bands that if you met somebody and they knew and liked Junkyard, you could be pretty sure that they were cool. I'm relatively sure if they had played ball with the record companies and maybe let some of that grit be smoothed out of them, they could have lasted into the 90s along sort of a Black Crowes career trajectory. maybe had some hits at adult contemporary radio. But they stayed true to themselves, which you have to admire. I definitely think their first album is better and a truer vision of who they are or were as a band. But this is still a pretty solid and listenable album. I'm totally blaming the suits at the record company for this album's shortcomings. Total score 64.2.
Nice. Oh, 64.2?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Lisa.
For me, Junkyard lives in my head as a live band, basically, because I've seen them so many times. Watching their younger performances, especially the videos, flooded a lot of memories back for me. So I'm just happy to revisit this one. I didn't expect it to age so well for me, mainly because of how southern and country some of they had gone in that direction. But it really didn't end up being that at all. They live in the genre of whatever you call Guns N' Roses, raw rock and roll with an edge of glam. Great live shows, songs you can sing along with. I enjoyed this so much more than I expected to, and I really struggled to decide which song I would cut, as each of the songs shows you a little bit of their flexibility. Um, Anyone who was into this style of music at the time that missed Junkyard, definitely go back and listen to them. I think if you brought an alien in from, another galaxy or something and showed them like Junkyard, Motley Crue, Van Halen, and some Guns N' Roses, some other bands next to each other, they also wouldn't understand why Junkyard didn't get the height that they should have. I don't know what the band is going to do going forward. I hope they take their time to grieve and make some decisions, the right ones. It won't be easy to replace him. We talked about this in the Sebastian episode a couple episodes ago. He has a unique voice and style, and it'll be a really hard role to fill if they do decide to fill it. Now, I know that all the guys will probably still continue playing music, and I will listen wherever they go. But we'll see where it is. It's only been a month at this point. So I'm going to give this one an 86.1, way, way higher than I expected to give it. And I will listen to it again.
This is a band I do not want to see without David Roach continue
It'll
on.
be hard.
Yeah. I feel like this should be a memory now, and they should just let it be what it was.
I do hope that they go and still play, though, with their other projects. So,
yes. Oh, of course. Of course. Okay. Add it up.
Okay. On the Violent Vinyl album chart, Junkyard 6s, 7s, and 9s from 1991 comes in at number 11 with a total score of 82.07. Obviously a re-listen for all of us. That is just below Vain, No Respect, and just above Poison, Look What the Cat Dragged In.
I like it. I like the space for it. Is it cooler than that Vain album? Yes. Is it better? Not necessarily.
That's a hard pick. Those are two very different albums.
Yes.
So,
yes. Yeah. All right. Lisa, you have the next pick. Please tell us what our homework will be for the next 2 weeks.
Okay, it's funny. So I was really going back and forth yesterday about what I was going to pick for this. So I finally settled on 1988 debut studio self-titled album from Vixen. Although my second choice was Bang Tango. So we're going to do Vixen. We're going to step into the ladies, and there's a lot to talk about with them. They have a lot of connections to other bands, and the whole concept of just being a woman in rock at the time. So, yeah. Okay, for the They Should Have Made It, we are going to Boston, a band who lived from 1990 to 1995 called Flash Addict. Song is Into the Smoke. After the band broke up in 95, the members went on to other projects. The band's first full-length CD, Live Fast, Die Pretty, was released in 2008. So all of the stuff they did, demos and stuff back in the 90s, they finally put an album on 2008 on Demon Doll Records. Alan Hutchinson, aka Damon Crash Alchemist, did pass away from a brain aneurysm in 1999.
Alan, man. Woo! He was a cool dude. Awesome. Great picks.
Do you remember them then?
The Flash Addict?
Yeah.
This Jay Summerfield, the one that keeps writing into the show. He was the singer.
Oh, Oh, that's right. I wasn't
Yeah.
even thinking about that. Jay, hi. I talked about you earlier today.
I was texting with
Sheesh.
him.
That was not purposeful at all. I chose this band because I used to go see them back in the day.
I was texting with him before the show.
That's so funny. I didn't even make the connection.
And get some inside scoop for next
I-
week.
Yeah,
Lots of inside
that's
scoop.
great.
And Dave and I actually played with one of their drummers, Ben Graves. And the original drummer of that band was Sammy, who was one of my favorite, very razzle, very Hanoi Rocks type.
I
dude,
had
very
no
cool.
idea that you guys had this deep connection. I
Yes.
picked
Oh, yeah.
this band because I used to go see them, not because I remembered that you guys had.
Yep.
Isn't that weird?
It is weird.
It all
is
comes
cool.
around.
It
Yeah.
does come around. It does come around. All right, that's it. Next week on Hey, Did You Ever See That Movie, our sister podcast, we will be breaking down Magnolia for one of our most loyal listeners, Radio. So there you go. Until next time, take those albums out of the sleeve and let the music breathe. See you next time.